Good morning. It's Saturday, the 10th of February, and this is Shootin' the Breeze. As everyone knows, I am TakersMinion, of course. I'm always joined by my friend from the land of the rising sun, Mr. Dr. Senju. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, morning.
Morning, yeah.
Yeah,
It's about what it is here.
It's February 11th.
For you.
For me, it's February 11th. It's about 1 a.m. in the morning. I am chilly. I am actually all alone in the house, so with a glass of water. That's it. Nothing much. The weather is chilly, but not as cold or unforgiving. That's all good and all. How are you, good sir?
Tired.
Tired. Of course, we all are tired on January.
Oh, I'm just tired of the damn snow. I mean, we've had almost 8 inches in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like you said, comparing my kind of 1-inch snow that doesn't really stick to your snow. Not good. It's not good. It's not good.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning we're joined by someone who's infamously known.
Infamous?
He is infamous, yes.
Who did you drag today?
I dragged in WWORDuke or CSSDuke on Twitter. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Taker. Reporting live from the Washington, D.C. area where everything that you're getting is going to turn to rain when we get here, which is the good news. The bad news is I'm still in the Washington, D.C. area, and that means that I am in close proximity to the swamp right now, and that's not the place I like being.
Okay, fair enough. At least we're all safe and sound. We're all tired, or we're all.
Yeah, I was lucky last night. The plows came through before I had to go to work last night. Luckily, they didn't bury our vehicle.
Well, listening to all the people on my timeline talking about the snow, they're pretty lucky. You're pretty lucky on the one side. One of our friends, on the other hand, got his car swerved sideways in the snow. At least no one got hurt.
Well, that was me the other night going into work. I'm sliding all over the road going into work. I have a 4-wheel drive pickup, and I had it locked in, and I was sliding, going everywhere. And I was like, what the hell? Why am I even trying to go to work?
But then again, you had to go to work because people are telling you to go to work.
Yeah.
It is what it is, how it is. People working on a 7-day basis, on a weekly basis, every single day, with no off days.
Well, I had a day off Wednesday night, so
that's one. So you have one rest period. So
I have one day off every 2 weeks. It seems like, and it's only because me and the guy that works the shift before me agree to cover each other's shifts so we can have a night off.
Okay.
Unlike the first shift person who yesterday didn't show up because she couldn't drive in the snow. Oh,
who the hell is that?
Long story.
Fine.
This is the same one that was out for 3 weeks after having hernia surgery.
I don't want to make fun of the hernia surgery or anything. It's just it's painful. At least it's going to be okay.
And I know that they don't listen to this show, so I'll talk about them. Just won't say their name.
Sure.
I feel better.
Of course. And that's what's important. Get the anger out of the way before we talk about the wrestling, right?
Yeah. No, because is there anything else that needs to be said before we start off?
Nah, what I had originally.
The magical word is going to be, tell us how you really feel.
Oh God. No, what I had originally decided to talk about at the beginning, I decided against it because people know better. People know better than to drink and drive. We lost someone this week.
Okay.
And looks like the person that did it is going to be going away for a long time.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's facing 5 major felonies.
Yep.
Okay.
You have an idea? Oh, hell, why don't we talk about it? He's a linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts. His name was last name was It's Edwin Jackson. He was a linebacker for a Colts. He was out this year with a knee injury. He was taking an Uber home on Sunday morning. Was getting ill. Told the driver he's getting ill, and the driver and him pulled over to the side onto the shoulder, so he could be sick.
Yep.
And a illegal immigrant. I don't care. It's not because of who he is or anything. I don't even know I know his name, but I'm not going to say it. Was driving home drunk without a driver's license. He's not supposed to be here. And hit and killed both of them. He hit the car and killed both of them. He tried to run. Police apprehended him. He didn't have a driver's license. He didn't have insurance. Wasn't supposed to be here. Fled the scene of an accident and killed 2 people. All because someone was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
What say you to that, Duke?
Well, when I was in high school, I lost a friend to a driver who has license revoked twice. Was driving a big rig, unlicensed, jackknifed it over onto him. So when you talk about people who are not supposed to be driving and do drive, that's something that I feel, and that's something that I feel a lot of sympathy for. Cars are very complicated vehicles, complicated machines, and you got to be careful out there. I'm just leave it at that. You got to be careful around there.
That's the thing. I wonder what the laws are like over in Japan about drunk driving.
Well, it's mostly more or less the same as well. The legal age is always going to be the legal age. It's going to be 18, of course.
What, for drinking or for driving?
For drinking.
What about for... Okay.
So, and driving, and usually when you don't really have this kind of issue, because when you're drunk, you usually don't take cars, or usually when you go out at night, you don't really usually take cars. You take cabs or you just walk, because there's a lot of things that you can do while you're walking. And sometimes in your local residence areas, there's actually a small bar tucked just right beside your commercial or residential areas, which is a stone's throw away. You can just walk there. And when you're drunk, you can just walk back while you're drunk. There's no problem in that.
Yeah, you don't have that problem. You stumble home. Plus, your woman works at a bar that's walking distance, correct?
Yep. I do drive, number one.
Yeah, but you don't drive to the bar if you're going to drink, do you? No.
No, I don't. Because yes, again, the whole bar is located just a couple of yards away from where we live anyways, and she walks there. I usually accompany her when she goes there and then comes back. It's the same thing. Well, it's not, but I'm not saying that just because it's the percentage of chances of that happening here is low doesn't necessarily mean that it won't happen. It has happened. It's just that it's not many to talk about. And people are understandably, yes, this is people here are understandable about it. Yes, you are drunk, so you have to go home. Because even in the bars, you have the bartenders going, I think you had a little bit too much. And then you go home, and then you need to go home. And
well, they've got that here too, but then they can,
No. From what I understand over there, even if you have those kind of bartenders or even bouncers telling you, I think you had enough. You're either going to be accosted physically, or you just going out with making a scene. Over here, I think they'll understand much better, and okay, or either someone, a friend of him will go with them and just okay, he needs to go, he has to go, and accompanies him back home. Yeah, because over here you don't rarely see people drinking alone, because there's a connotation if you're drinking alone over here. It's either you're drinking alone because you're waiting for someone, or you're planning on something that's not good.
Me, when I used to Yeah, when I was in the Marines and on base, I used to go to the enlisted club, and I would drink alone, and it was just I wanted to get drunk and stumble my ass back to the barracks.
Because there's not many. Because number one, even with the whole, even while people think that Japan is actually high tech, there's not. There are certain things that in Japan that are still as traditional as ever. Drinking and walking to a bar is one of them. Because a lot of things are a stone's throw away. You have your convenience store just right outside. You have cabs, you have cars. It's just that people sometimes use them, not rarely, just sometimes. But I don't say that it's not going to happen again. The point is, don't drink and drive, please.
It's not. This subject we're talking about is not my wife's favorite subject because she lost a stepson to a drunk driver. He was thrown from the vehicle. He himself was drunk, but the driver of their vehicle was drunk. It was a single car, wasn't it? Or did they hit somebody?
He hit a bridge.
They hit a bridge.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not a very happy subject in our household.
The less you talk about it, better. Well, again, it should be brought up. Just don't drink.
Don't drink and drive, people. That's all we're saying. And I think everybody here would agree with that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to drink responsibly. Take precautions whether you wanted to do all that. Yeah, okay, fine. Just don't. Just please don't.
I mean, if I want to go out drinking, I've got several bars walking distance from my house.
And then you have to either walk yourself back home when you're drunk, which is I think, or crawl. Fairly much better than driving yourself there. So yeah.
Or drink at home. Period. If you're gonna drink. Enough of that.
Well,
we are here to talk about wrestling. But go ahead.
Just to poke on one of the stories that actually is a surprise because this actually involves a wrestler, one that we know of, Shelton Benjamin. He realized that his rental car that he drove has a fucking loaded gun in it in the glove compartment.
Oh shit!
Yep. He has been driving the car around for the last 4 days, and he found a gun in the glove compartment. So yeah.
Oh, well, I wonder. Did he? Oh boy. And where was this?
I think this was when they were on tour in Arkansas. So that would be like the worst place possible for him to suddenly discover he has a loaded gun in his car.
Yeah.
He tweeted about it. He even had Randy Orton going, "Holy fuck, dude!"
Yeah, that's news. I didn't know. I didn't hear about that this week.
Yeah, I mean,
when did this happen? Just in the last 48 hours?
Just about 3 days ago. Just about 3 days ago when this story dropped. He was driving around town for about 4 days with a gun in the glove compartment, and people are already commenting that that gun is actually loaded. If Shelton inadvertently drove over a bump or something and the gun actually went off, he'll be in deep trouble. Number one. Or number two, if he was driving in a car and a cop stopped him on the side of the road and checked the car for new substances, he won't know that there's a gun, and if the cop finds it, he'll be in trouble.
Yeah. Did he get the authorities involved and take care of the problem?
No. He found it and then he returned he returned the car back. Apparently he returned the car back to the rental car association. It was Budget, I think.
Yeah.
That one? Yeah. And if I remember correctly, and he returned it, and he just went off on Twitter. He just went off on Twitter going, "Thank you, Budget, for your great service. Putting my reputation, freedom, and quite possibly my life in jeopardy. I have only been driving your car around the last 4 days with an effing loaded gun in the glove compartment." So, yeah. He told the news on Twitter, and when it broke out, people are commenting about it. So yeah. On a bad day, we might have lost Shelton Benjamin or worse.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's another lesson in altogether. If you are taking a rental car, please check your rental car.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Yeah. Please
No
check
kidding.
your rental car. I use rental car services quite often because I had to travel. Sometimes I had to travel between Kyoto to Tokyo, and that isn't really a good distance to drive. So usually it's either the Shinkansen or just drive with a car. So
we're going to use the one this week, coming week.
Make sure you check the car over thoroughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna because as most of you know or may not know, my wife was involved in an accident about 10 days ago with our vehicle. It's going in. Yeah, it was minor. I mean, nobody was hurt.
Okay.
Nothing was hurt except the vehicle. And not major. Nothing major.
Okay.
Yet that they could see. That was just the the preliminary estimate is we got that number. But we're gonna have a rent. We're gonna have a rental car for about 3-4 days next week.
Yeah, so better check on the car. So yeah, check the glove compartment,
especially in this town.
Yeah, especially.
Probably more likely to find drugs than guns, though. I mean, that's any better.
Yeah,
either one. If we find if the one are in the car, I mean, Jesus H. Christ,
You better check.
Yeah, check for drugs too, babe.
Check for drugs or check for guns.
Check for guns, drugs, guns, anything that could get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Even paraphernalia can get you in trouble in this town.
Speaking of which, another news that just broke out, I think about yesterday or just today. Seth Rollins is a victim of theft.
Yes, I saw that from TSA. No less.
Shit. I mean, I've heard of people. I've heard of TSA actually sneaking stuff off from the lost and found department to claim as their own. But this is shitty as best.
They stole food,
which is actually Seth's training regime food. So now he's lost about four packs of them.
I think he had. He said he had 13 or something like that.
And now he's left with 9, and he's fuming about it. I don't know what's going to happen.
Do you blame him?
He's a famous person. People do anything to get at least some form of recognition from that famous person. People who are crazy enough anyways.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's like that whole thing with the steroids, the illegal steroids that guy down in Florida is doing. Roman Reigns was one of my...
Which, sure, never mind. That happened. On a more funnier note or a more creepier note, I mean, it's the same thing with Sasha Banks and Sasha Banks' strand of hair, and people are selling it. This is Sasha Banks' hair. I want to sell it.
There's some sick people in the world.
Well, it's not sick people. It's people who are not in the right mind. I mean, why the hell would you want to steal food off from someone's bag?
And leave a telltale that you did it.
Yep. Somehow they left the TSA pamphlet inside the bag. And he knows it. Yep.
That's just a calling card. It's like Robin Hood.
I know. I mean, he's there. Okay, I know this is Seth Rollins' bag. We're gonna take all the food, and I'm gonna leave a calling card. The TSA. It's perfect. The crime of all crimes, announcing that TSA is one of the banes of existence.
We knew that already.
Yes.
Yes.
Somehow, I mean, somehow over here, I know that TSA sucks. After the Department of Motor Vehicles over there, over here, it's pleasant enough. It's just that it's boring. It's quiet.
I can only imagine what DMV is like in Washington, D.C.
Oh, it really does depend upon whether it's the city or it's one of the suburbs. But either way, considering that you have like 3 different jurisdictions all in one place, there's a lot of cross-checking, cross-referencing. It takes forever to get anything done. What else do I know?
Jesus.
And okay, considering that, I'm gonna go on one more segue before we segue actually smoothly into wrestling. How about the news with since we're talking about wrestling anyways, how about the news that Rey Mysterio is going to show up in New Japan to challenge against Jushin Thunder Liger? Because here's the thing, here's one fact that I know. They haven't wrestled for 22 years now. They haven't wrestled against each other for 2 decades and 2 years now.
No. I was going to say that. I know they did it in the 90s with WCW. And they actually had some fantastic matches, too.
Yep.
What's amazing is they both aged really well. I mean, you're talking about you guys with a combined age of like 95, and it's still going to be, that Ray still has his athleticism. Liger still has his timing, still has the pacing that he's always had. It's still going to be a match you can learn from. It's still going to be a match that you can show to the young ones and say, pay attention to these little things that they do to keep the match together.
Well, isn't Liger like in his 60s now?
Liger,
he's 53 or so.
Let me just remember back or check back. I'm not. Yeah, he's 53.
He's my age.
Yep, he is your age, sir. And he did color commentary with the Japanese commentators on the New Beginning, NJPW New Beginning. If you guys have watched it, I won't spoil anything for you. Please do watch it. If you haven't watched it, I'm not going to say anything else on New Beginnings. Please go watch it. If you have, you can just comment about it. It's surprising for me anyway, so yeah. But anyway, yeah, I agree. I tend to agree because these two can actually put up a clinic on how a luchador is supposed to, how a luchador-based wrestling is supposed to do. Put on a wrestling clinic on that subject altogether, and people are going to go, okay, this is how you're going to do it. Two veterans that have a long, illustrious, legendary careers in and of itself. Both Liger and Mysterio has that in spades. So, and apparently they're going to be wrestling in Strong Style Evolved on the 25th of March in the NJPW US tour in Los Angeles. So catch that.
I have a question for both of you, though.
Okay.
Everybody here knows Rey Mysterio as Rey Mysterio or Rey Mysterio Jr. Does anybody know who he was for 2 years before he became Rey Mysterio?
Wow, that's going way back.
I know what it is.
I don't think I've ever heard
that. Me neither. No.
Well, there is a lighter out there of the same name. It's Colibri, which means the cricket.
Ah, okay. It suits him.
But he was known as Colibri first. A lot of people don't know that.
It suits him. I think if that means he's going, it's in his early career, I think. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it's there.
He's only had 2 names in wrestling. Colibri and Rey, he's had Rey Mysterio. He's Rey Mysterio with WWE, but he was Rey Mysterio Jr. The original Rey Mysterio was his uncle.
Yeah, the Rey Mysterio Sr.
His uncle.
Which is why he's Rey Mysterio Jr. and not say Hijo del Mysterio.
He's not El Hijo.
Right.
Not son of.
Yeah, there is a Hijo del Rey Mysterio, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. So. There is. El Hijo de Rey Mysterio. It's his cousin.
Yeah.
But he is the son of. Yeah, he is technically the son of the Mysterious King or Rey Mysterio. So yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be technical about it.
Let's get technical about it.
Okay. Let's get technical about that.
So, go ahead, Duke. You got something to say about it? Us being technical about this? I mean, it's legitimate.
I was just setting up a punchline there. The idea that it's kind of hard to follow sometimes, and people always joke in America about how the Samoan family is just chaotic to follow, but that happens all the time in Mexico. It's really a family business, so to try and follow what everybody is to everybody else can get kind of weird.
If you look at the greatest Samoan family in wrestling, it starts actually with Peter Maivia, because he's related to Afa and Sika. I think they're cousins.
Well, actually, what it is, he is and he isn't. Because Peter Maivia swore a blood brotherhood to Amatuanai Anawai, who is the father of Afa and Sika.
Yeah.
So while they're not related genetically, you ask anyone from Samoa, they are essentially brothers.
Right. Yeah, the whole blood brother ceremony. So yeah,
because basically the whole Samoan wrestling family spews out under the Anoa'i family. That's the biggest.
That is the biggest. That is a wrestling family of royalty, if you think about it.
Yeah. I find it hard. I find hard to contest that idea. Yeah. I mean, a lot of even if you go through the family tree, a lot of it does come down with the Anoa'i family, because they have been stretching their influence ever since the Wild Samoans came out.
Yep.
Wild Samoans, Head Shrinkers, 3-minute Warning, Samoan Gangsters, Sana Samoas, the Usos, Yokozuna, Roman Reigns,
Yokozuna, Rikishi,
Umaga,
yeah, Uncle. That's Eddie Fatu. A lot of people don't know that. The Rock, for instance, he's also part of that family.
I mean, yeah, correct. The Maivia family and the Anoa'i family actually were blood brothers. So yeah,
right.
They continued on with Afa and Sika. That's the start. That's the start of the whole Anoa'i family. Of course, the Wild Samoans, they're just famous and all that.
And Rikishi is also a member of that family, as are the Usos. So
yeah, Rikishi, who's also Fatu back in the Head Shrinkers or Samoan SWAT team, as I remember them when they were coming up.
Yeah, they were Samoan SWAT team, I think, in WCCW.
Right, exactly.
And then they brought that gimmick over to WCW for a little while, and then became something else, Samoan Gangsters or something like that.
If I'm not correct,
I think it was Rikishi and Umaga. They were together as a tag team. WCW.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of family back.
Oh, and we can't forget Rosie either.
Oh,
right,
of course.
Yeah. When I first started doing stuff with with wrestling on the internet, I was with the site run by Scott Keith, the Canadian reviewer and author, and one of his running gags was every Simone should be required to carry a 3x5 index card with their family tree on it, just so we can remember their stories.
Really? That's a good stick to go on with, just to make a joke about it, just to do a running gag on it. Yeah, every Samoa that comes on should bring a 3x5 family tree, proving your lineage and all.
Wait a minute, Joe. What do you mean you're not on this card? Like, I can just imagine Vince right now going, "Oh, there's no family, goddammit."
I mean, I could imagine that. I mean, somehow they get, this is the long lost cousin of this and that, and then Vince suddenly going, "Wait a damn minute, you're not a card. You screwed me over, damn it."
Yep. Vince over there, damn, another fucking Anoa'i. Jesus Christ. God damn it, I have enough of that family here, for Christ's sake.
Somebody get me some more goddamn face paint around here.
Do we have enough goddamn chairs?
Somebody go to the country over there and go call this kid Tonga or something like that.
Tonga, yeah.
Oh, Leo Tonga. I mean, they're the. I don't know whether Tamatonga is affiliated or under the Anoa'i family tree. I sure hope not.
No,
I think not.
I think the Tongas are related to Haku, who's somehow not related to everybody else.
Yeah, somehow, yes.
Yeah, Tamatonga is related to Haku. That's his son, I believe.
Hey,
Haku's not part of that family, but Haku's a madman. You know, if you look at him, I've seen pictures of him recently. He could still go in the ring if he wanted to.
Yeah, he looks like it. Yeah,
he hasn't changed at all. He's got a little more gray, but Jesus Christ, he's still built like a brick shit house.
And if he's anything like the stories are, guys, everyone listening, if you get the chance, go look up stories about Haku online. When Harley Race says that you're a little too badass, you might you've got a reputation.
Well, yeah.
Well, a little too badass.
Ric Flair was telling stories about him on his podcast too, and he had Haku on, and they were telling stories about fights that he got into. And there was a time I think he was pepper sprayed, and Haku was drinking it when they were spraying him. He sitting there with his mouth open, going "Ah."
Oh wow!
He looks. Haku looks like someone you could tase, and he's standing there, and go, "Really?
Yeah.
This is gonna knock my ass down?"
I mean, okay, sure, fine. If you want to talk, just a small segue for Haku. His son Tavita has actually wrestled for WWE.
Is that Macho?
Yep.
Who's this? I missed something here.
Haku's son Tavita.
Okay.
He has been in WWE under the name Camacho.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have the son of a badass Tongan who has never backed down for a fight. Let's make him a Mexican gangster.
There you go.
God bless you, Vince.
Go figure.
Go figure. God bless Vince and his crazy ideas, but this doesn't really work.
That's why when I heard the rumors that they were hoping to make Ronda and Stephanie into the Austin and Vince of the female era, I talked to my friends. One of them said it's not going to work because the one defining trait of Vince McMahon was that he was absolutely batshit crazy.
Mm-hmm. I don't
see what you know about Stephanie. She looks normal. She acts like she's well adjusted.
Yeah, I can't see Stephanie being batshit crazy as her father. She looks definitely normal. Outside of the ring, she looks like a shrewd businesswoman, and family-wise, she looks like a great mother.
I would agree with that because I think she is. Both.
And that's why it's not going to work because, God bless her, she just doesn't have the crazy in her.
No, she doesn't. She's like a shrewd businesswoman. She's smart at her work. She's diligent at it. She's a great mother. I mean, movie nights watching Disney, so much so that they can actually sing the whole Moana theme song. Oh, great.
Oh, God. Yeah, Moana with The Rock. And then don't forget, we got Ferdinand with John Cena.
Well, I mean,
a bull that refuses to hurt people. Go figure.
Hey, that was actually a really good story. I remember when Disney did a cartoon about that. It was wonderful.
They did.
Basically, Disney Pixar is doing is.
Mm-hmm. Now it's Pixar doing it. Actually, as a children's movie, it's fine. Average at best. Average. So it's a
But
service.
what was funny is if you look at the movie Moana or the cartoon Moana, if you look at the character that The Rock played, he actually had all the goddamn tattoos that Rock's got. And if anybody noticed that.
Yeah, which is even more weird because the tattoos move. Because because the tattoos move in the cartoon in the animated movie of Moana.
Of course, they gotta do something different.
Well.
And all Pixar started out was the two desk lamps.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it started.
Yep. Which is
everyone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Those desk lamps were funny as hell.
It started with a mouse.
Yeah, Disneyland started with a mouse. Go figure.
Go figure.
Well, like I said, Pixar with those lamps, it was funny as hell. I remember when that shit first came out, I was like, what the hell is this? And then I started, you'd see me in commercials, and I just start laughing.
Yep.
And guess who created that?
Who?
George Lucas.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's cool. George Lucas.
Yeah, well, I hate to go on another segue. I hate to go on another segue because we're going to talk about George Lucas and all that. But okay, fine, fair enough. I think we can burn. I mean, who here is excited for the whole Han Solo spin-off movie now? After the trailer,
I haven't even seen it, so I don't know. I haven't seen any of the new Star Wars movies yet.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally,
I hear they're not real good.
Well, the new one, the first one is. The second one, your mileage may vary. I enjoyed it. After a second sitting, the first was, so that's what happened. I have to watch it all over again. So, but at first, initially, when I watched the trailer, it was fun. It got me excited. When I watched the full trailer, it got me not so excited. It kind of sort of like Vince. You built someone high. You built someone so high up, and then suddenly you get knocked down. I'm not excited anymore. So it's gonna be fun. Anyway, I mean, I have stretched on a lot about this, but anyway, let's talk about wrestling then. I will not touch on New Japan New Beginnings, because most of you have not watched it yet. Please catch it if you do, and sound off on how you liked it. How you liked it. If you don't like it, why don't you like? Why do you feel that you do not like it? What's the best show so far? Of course, the news about Rey Mysterio versus Jushin Thunder Liger is out there on New Beginning as well. So watch it, and your mileage may vary. But hey, I think. But on a side note on that one, because we're going to talk about WWE. Now, it has been a decent week for WWE, if we want to count Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and 205 Live as a whole. And of course, on a side note, Mixed Match Challenge was good this week. So okay, pick and choose. Of course, I'm going to talk about Raw this week because I hate to poke the bee's nest while it's still inactive. But yeah, one of the biggest talking points was, The Miz actually. Well, one of the biggest talking points was actually, The Miz again. The show delivered quality matches this week for Raw. It leaned on its cornerstones, which, predictably, one of them is The Miz, the other is Asuka and Roman Reigns. Result of it all was an episode that actually moved quickly, got the crowd pumped up, and gave fans plenty to look forward to on February 5th. So,
I think part of the difference between this Raw and other Raws that made it feel a lot faster is there were 9 matches on this Raw, and none of them really overstayed their welcome. It felt like the pacing you would expect from a house show almost. And that's something that you don't see very often. Too often on Raw, they throw people out there for a 20-minute match with not much build-up, not much rhyme or reason, and it just it drains the energy in the building. You can feel it leave. Here it was, they went from story to story, spot to spot. They had everybody doing something. It felt, it felt more organic that way.
Yeah, it felt cohesive because even if you wanted to go on the first bell, anyways, the first segment of the show is actually a wrestling match between Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt. And even though we all commented about how sucky Bray Wyatt is now with the whole thing, I have to say this was one of the more focused and one of the more powerful promos I've seen from Wyatt in a long time. I mean, when he doesn't jump from one random idea to another random idea that he has in his head, his promos and interviews can actually pull you in, and that's the strength that he has.
You're talking about Monday's first match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the whole show.
Because the funny thing about it, there was continuity there too.
Yeah.
Because you hear Bray at one point say, "Anyone but you, Roman. Anyone but you."
Mm-hmm.
When he has him outside.
And that was his thing like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. But for that to be brought back up, that's showing great continuity.
Yeah. I mean, it showed a lot of maturity in how they're organizing the whole Raw segment, the whole Raw show this week as a whole. It felt cohesive. It felt like it's not filler. It filled its time perfectly. And then when they move on to another segment, that segment filled out perfectly, and to another and to another. And like I said, this match itself showed what Wyatt was before the whole mess that he had experienced through. This when he's I think when Bray Wyatt has a focus, he can be dominant. He can be a powerful force of nature. Even his interviews can pull you in, which is his strength. When you give him a lot of things to do all at one time, he scatters. His brain, he goes wild, he goes rogue, and just gets confusing. Case in point, Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt's feud for the whole of last year, which confuses the hell out of most people, I think. Hopefully,
that was a feud.
That was a feud. I have to remind you, that is a feud.
Are you sure it wasn't just a bad acid trip we were on?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. A bad acid trip.
I mean,
would you agree with that, Duke? That it felt more like a bad acid trip than anything else?
It just didn't make sense. It was. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if they were thinking.
I don't think they were. I think there was Vince. Let's just get to the damn demon with this shit already.
And they don't even get to the demon part versus the Pumpkin King and the whole Sister Abigail thing because he went sick.
Yeah, Bray got sick.
Which is sad.
Yeah, that never got off the ground. But it gave us a great match. It gave us Finn Balor versus AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Which was a fantastic match.
Yeah. What were you saying again, Duke, about it?
Best timed case of meningitis in the history of wrestling. No joke, that meningitis may have saved Bray Wyatt's career.
And it may have saved us all too, I think. Yeah.
Something.
I mean just not to knock on him a little bit too much, but I think he looks different from this one match. Hopefully Raw has the common sense to actually keep him on a tangent this time. It's just that I don't really trust Raw's booking because if we praise them a little bit too much this week, the next week they'll be doing something entirely different. We all know this.
Bray Wyatt's main program is against broken Matt Hardy, which is entirely built around going off the rails.
I mean, at least in that sense, Wyatt still has focus, which is broken Matt Hardy. If he goes rogue again against broken Matt Hardy, we have a problem. He just needs focus.
How does one go rogue in a feud with broken Matt Hardy?
Good question, though. I am still thinking about that. How does one go rogue against broken Matt Hardy?
You don't.
Considering the fact that we're gonna have to contend with the whole juggling act, whether Hardy is gonna go with Broken or Woken. Which one is he gonna go?
Well, Woken is owned by WWE. Broken is owned by Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the difference. And where is Matt right now?
WWE. But here's the thing: WWE has no problem. Somehow, apparently, WWE has no problem if Matt wants to use the Broken gimmick, the broken theme as his marketable choice.
Well, yeah, but we also know who the source is for that.
Himself, of course.
Or Meltzer. Meltzer was the first one to talk about it. We all know how great his sources are.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been so far. He's been so far off this year, or the last 7-8 months since the plug got filled. He hasn't had shit on WWE. This is what they're thinking about doing, and then the exact goddamn opposite happens. Yeah. I hope you're listening, Meltzer. You need a better source than you got now.
Well, I think that proves one thing: Chris Jericho was the source.
Oh God.
If that's true, then Jericho has been.
That's around the time Jericho left. Was when everything went haywire with his predictions.
I think you have a point. That means it's all on Jericho. Whether Jericho feeds him false information or that Jericho purposely fed him false information,
or both. I think he did it on purpose because because I think he's sick of Meltzer too. Everybody's sick of Meltzer. Because he thinks he's some god when it comes to what management is thinking and what Vince is thinking. I can hear Vince right now. Fucking Meltzer doesn't know shit of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, but knock on all of that as much as we want. I mean, getting back on track here. I think I think the only knock on the first segment of Raw is that the commentators tried to tell the story of Reigns suffering a downward spiral, considering that he lost last week and he lost at Royal Rumble and he's in a slump. Somehow he's in a slump, but we all know better than that.
What slump is he in? Because he lost twice to Miz.
Number one, and he lost his chance at Royal Rumble.
He's
That's
not
a slump. That's a slump.
Please.
So right why did they underdog Roman Reigns happen, guys? I think that's the bottom line here.
I mean, they got the Royal Rumble right. Mm-hmm. They got the right winner in Nakamura. It was perfect. We're gonna get the match that was teased at Money in the Bank between Nakamura and Styles.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that, but in the Rumble, the whole everything from the last 6 on was just wonderful.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah.
It was the best Royal Rumble in 5 years.
Yep, I have to agree on that. I'll agree on that one.
Yes, Madeline, you are correct. Jimmy Jacobs got fired in August.
Yeah, and she posited this. What if the leak was actually Jimmy Jacobs rather than Chris Jericho?
That would also fit the timeline. Yeah, good catch.
What was? Yeah, because
it was right around that time. It was right around that time that all of a sudden Meltzer's stuff was so far off base. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Probably. I mean, there's a lot of change. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. It's an interesting point to bring out.
It's logical.
Anyway. Yeah. Again, this was one of the. It's a breath of fresh air to see Raw actually start off with a wrestling match, and used one of their cornerstones, Roman Reigns, as one of the starting points. So yeah, one of the other starting points.
Should have more wrestling on them. There's a concept.
Yeah, there's a concept.
Both shows need more wrestling and less talk. Both of them do. I've been saying this for years.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't need on Monday Night Raw. We don't need a 20-minute promo to start the show.
Of course,
that just pisses everybody off in the stands.
I mean, if the promo is designed as such so that you're promoting your next match or your match in the upcoming pay-per-view, that's fine. If you're just using the airtime to cut a promo to hype up something else other than what you're going to go on with, you're just going to waste time. It's either you're going to waste time or you just, burn air. If you're off air and you're actually been told to, say, Xavier Woods, go out there, cut a promo about 3 minutes about anything. Just cut a promo about anything. Some might say that's a waste of time, but that's actually just, you're trying to develop your promo skills.
Yeah, but why do it on national TV? And if anybody wants to learn how to cut a promo, i.e., search out on YouTube Jason Kelsey. Okay?
I think from this point on, Taker's go-to for anyone who wants to learn promo class is going to be watch Jason Kelsey. Go watch him.
Is there anything wrong with that?
He cuts a better promo than all of you combined. Well, most of you combined.
He cuts a better promo than most of the people on the freaking roster right now.
I find it hard to contest that. I seriously do.
What about you, Duke? Can you contradict that at all?
That was just one magical speech that would only in Philadelphia could you say stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
In fact, that was an ECW promo. Let's just say it right now. That was perfectly ECW.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. It had the
feel.
I
bet Paul Heyman was jumping up and down, going, "Yes."
WWE, please sign him.
I can hear Vince. Oh, that guy's got the skills, huh? Get him in here.
I think we found our XFL superstar here.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. I think I found my first candidate for the XFL. Who's this? Jason Kelsey. Who's this?
Oh, he has a brother too? Oh, put them both on the same team. Yeah. I got to have a Kelsey on the field on both sides of the ball. The other Kelsey's a tight end.
This
How many
Kelsey's
Kelseys are there? Is this like the Samoans again?
Wait, he has a brother now? Wait, he has a cousin I don't know about?
Oh, shit. How many Kelseys are there? Like the goddamn Anawati family?
This is the football family for wrestling promotions, I think. I think so.
Something, right?
Something. Well, okay, fine.
Kevin, go sign me another goddamn Kelsey.
But Vince, we don't have any other Kelsey. He only has an older
Shut
brother.
up!
The show has officially gone off the rails.
Which day?
If you had 54 minutes in the pool, you win.
Yes.
If you have 10:54 a.m. Central Time in the pool and we went off the rails, you win.
Good job.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Oh,
Vince, there's only one Travis. I can't hire the kid.
that's almost as bad as the Squid Balls joke of last week.
Please don't remind me of the Squid Balls joke. It wasn't supposed to be a joke. It just came out wrong. The whole Squid Ball joke was meant to come out wrong. So,
And Duke is sitting there going, "What the hell are they talking about?"
Yeah.
You have to go back and listen. You have to go back and listen to it because it's an absolute hysterical 20 minutes.
I mean, well, okay. On a quick segue, Madeline actually pulled out a good point on this. On the whole rumor about it. It's widely known that Jericho is one of Meltzer's known sources.
Like he really knows everything.
You might have. You might have. Suddenly they did. Hey, Meltzer. I got news.
All right, now I'm picturing him in like this dark back alley trying to be sneaky. Like he's got the bright light up jacket on, which kind of ruins the ambience all the way.
Exactly. And he's at an alley, he's just going, "Hey, Meltzer. Hey, Meltzer. I got some scoops. You interested?" And then suddenly he got the bad news. And then suddenly Meltzer got bad news. "Hey, Meltzer, I'm sorry. I'm not in WWE anymore."
Yeah, I'm going to Japan.
I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
But wait.
Although knowing Meltzer, that might have actually excited him.
Yeah. But wait, who's it's okay.
Jericho and Kenny Omega in Japan? I'm going to need like 8 or 9 stars for this one.
Or 6.5 stars. Wait, you're gonna break your own scale on that one? No.
Kenny Omega, it's what he does.
At least he was fair on it, saying that that's not worth of a 6 stars. At least. Okay.
Okay. What are we talking about? Do we actually have a coherent conversation before this?
I kind of lost track, but okay. Now I found the track back again. I was talking about the whole Raw using their cornerstones as their main attraction as one of them. One of them is Roman Reigns. The other is Taker's favorite wrestler and his goddess of all time, Asuka. We're in an active tit for tat. Asuka defeated Bayley, but not before Bayley and Sasha Banks cut, I think, one of the most intriguing promos that they have cut, and actually showcased Bayley's shift in persona a little bit, just a little bit, by a tad bit. I'm not I'm not sure whether it's a shift in personality on a big degree or a big scale for Bayley. It's just that there's a change in her
attitude.
Yeah, in her attitude when she and Sasha did that backstage promo. I mean, the boss doesn't at that point when Sasha Banks rewatched her loss to Asuka last week. She was a little bit down on the dumps and upset. Not quite unlike the boss yet, and somehow Bayley has the balls to actually say that, sure, but I counter back Sasha Banks going, yeah, but I can beat you. I know I can beat you. So yeah, something. I know I can beat you. And of course, that was a very, very intriguing promo. Some of the people.
I love the fact that Bayley standing up for herself is being seen as some intriguing shift of character, which tells you how much they totally botched the rollout for her.
Exactly.
Well, Duke, we have a file here on our show called the Bayley File, and that is for superstars that have been totally screwed up on by creative and whatnot. That file includes Bayley herself, Becky Lynch,
Apollo Crews,
Apollo Crews.
I think
Akira
that's just
Tozawa.
Tozawa was one of them. I didn't know. Oh, is that Carcass Tozawa? I think. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, that Carcass is Tozawa over there in the corner.
Okay.
Given how old school the two of you are, I'm surprised you haven't named this file after Terry Taylor, who's the patron saint of being screwed up by creative.
Are you talking about the Red Rooster?
Yeah.
That was another
I think that was another great wrestler being ruined by a gimmick somehow. But hey,
well, need we forget Landshark? We had a wrestler go by Landshark. No shit.
No shit.
Back in the 80s.
Well, not surprising considering the fact that we do have a wrestler named Shark Boy back in the 2000s.
Yes.
And then, of course, there was a Shark Attack by the late, great John Tenta in WCW. In fact, just don't name yourself after a shark. It never works.
It never works.
Nope.
You're practically to speak very bluntly, you're practically jumping the shark when you use something shark themed.
Yes.
No, your opponent is jumping the shark, but you know what? Never mind.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Duke.
You know what? No. Just no. But anyway.
But along these lines, something I saw on Twitter, getting back to Bayley and Asuka, that I don't know if they're going to follow up on this just because it's kind of continuity that only obsessed fans would recognize. Mm-hmm. But it was noted at Dallas, Asuka just sort of stared at Bayley after the match. In Brooklyn, she helped her up. And on Raw, she shook her hand. Those three things were probably all meant to be isolated incidents, but kind of shows, I don't know what it shows if they run with it.
It shows that Asuka has respect for her.
But does
something now let's take the next step with it.
Mm-hmm.
When Asuka and Sasha had their match, Asuka after Asuka finally got up, she didn't do anything to help Sasha up or anything like that.
Right.
So basically she's showing total disdain. Whereas Bayley got the handshake after the match.
Yeah, and then
if they take the next logical step, that's going to piss Sasha off even more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like they're building towards Sasha snapping and going as sort of a loner heel who is bitter about the rest of the locker room, and Asuka's sort of the catalyst for that.
Yeah, well, if you look at a couple of posts from Sasha, let me find it here. I don't know if it was today or it's been in the last week, but it has something to do with Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Here it goes.
Okay.
Sasha Banks, this was yesterday at 2:07 p.m. She goes, not done. Hashtag reclaim my time. Hashtag reclaiming my spotlight. Reclaiming my spotlight. So right there is the building blocks.
I mean, I think all of us today, or even the listeners, would agree that Bailey and Sasha Banks has history that can promise to be folded up into a good rivalry, a great rivalry for that matter. I mean, case in point, NXT showed that.
Not as good as Brooklyn.
Not as good as Brooklyn, of course.
Well, I would not lean on NXT as something for a starting point, just because the Raw audience is about 5 to 10 times the size of NXT.
Yeah.
But if you take the characters they had in NXT and introduce them or show them, it shows that it can work and work at another level. What I would say about this, and this is sort of getting ahead of something else on Raw, is when the Elimination Chamber rolls around, if I were in charge of that, Bailey would be one of the first 2. Sasha would be number 3, the first out. Because when she steps out of that pod, you could go just about any way with it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, the focus would definitely be shifted towards both Bailey and Sasha, for that matter, if that's the case. Yeah,
I could see that.
And interest will ramp up a lot more, not just a little bit, a lot, with the whole shift on that matter. Yeah, but I mean, again, but yeah, if we want to discount the whole. Okay, let's not put NXT as one of the groundworks, and the announcers again did a small blunder by recalling Asuka and Bailey's NXT history. Again, they're going with continuity, but then again,
well, I'm not saying that continuity is bad. I'm saying, don't make that the entire cornerstone. Because, for example, when Sami Zayn was rolled out, the entire cornerstone of his character was he was mad at Kevin Owens for something that nobody saw.
Yeah. I understand, and I understand that because not all WWE, not all main roster WWE audiences watch NXT.
Right.
Not all NXT audiences watch the main roster anymore because they're going to stick to NXT. They're going to stick to something small.
I would think the NXT fans, especially the ones down, that smart crowd they have in Florida, most of them watch the main show product. They had to, because, I mean, there's such an uproar about certain people down in NXT that need to be moved up. We know one pair that someone is obsessed with. They have to be on NXT TV every week. Yeah. But apparently one of them's out getting a job done to their body, so that's why they're not around. They're in the body and fender shop.
Okay. But okay. Going on with that, I mean, if we want to overlook that, then that I think that's fine because at least if they're going on continuity, that's not bad at all. That's just good. Just that when the main roster audiences will listen to it and then go, oh, okay, they have history back in NXT, then it's either do I want to see what the history of them are back in NXT or do I not? The curiosity would be there. It's either on whether they want to react to it or not.
Yeah.
And if that's the way to sell the network, that's one thing. But show don't tell is the big maxim.
Yeah, I mean, okay, show don't tell. True. It's just that does the WWE creative on the main roster understood the notion that they're gonna hint that okay, these three have history with one another without even telling the crowd? Are the crowd? I'm not going to. I'm putting it bluntly. Are the audiences intelligent enough? Are all the audiences intelligent enough to actually catch that point?
Here lies the problem. In Vince's world, the audience is not smart enough.
There you go.
We all know this.
I mean, I'm not going to go on this whole long tangent about wrestling, just about anything actually, because we live in the world. I think we live in a constant scenario where everything needs to be fed. Everything needs to be every kind of information, every kind of intelligent, every kind of information or info or explanation needs to be hand-fed towards us. I mean, literally, we find information through the on our fingertips, which is both a bad and a good thing in all of itself. It's just that
if people want the history, they can find it.
It's just that I'm afraid, I'm worried that not many will catch that. And that's why the announcer's going all out and practically saying that, yeah, Asuka, Bayley, and Sasha Banks have history in the NXT. Just to lure people in.
Sasha and Asuka never faced each other in NXT.
But they have it, but they have a link.
Bayley.
That's Bayley. Yeah.
Right.
We all three of us can do that.
Sasha lost to Bayley twice.
Mm-hmm.
But yet Asuka
gives a shred of respect.
Asuka defeated Bayley twice.
Yeah. Asuka gives a shred of respect to Bayley. Asuka gives none to Sasha.
Right.
And you don't even need to know about NXT to read that.
Yeah. I mean, all three of us can do the math on that one, can draw the line, going connect the dots and all that. It's just that the rest of the crowd, do they get it?
Well, not even that. If you don't, something like that, just the basic of Asuka being more respectful of Bayley than Sasha, we know why, but the best part is you don't need to know why. You just need to know that it's there. You just need to see, okay, I can see this is happening. These are things that have happened. How is it going to affect the future? And even if they didn't have history, you could put yourself in Sasha's shoes and say, I can see how this is not going to go well with her.
Yeah. I mean, it's... Yeah. I mean, I can... fair enough, I can agree with that. It's just that the whole point is going on, and I hate to borrow... I'll borrow George's point altogether. Wrestling is simple. WWE makes it a little bit complicated. And all that. Not just a little bit, but a lot. But hey, I wax lyrical on that a lot. It's just that, aside from that, the match itself, it's great, actually. I think this is the... and I hate to repeat myself, but this is the best Bayley has looked in a long time. I hate to use the same word the same statement, the same praise that I used with Bray Wyatt, but I'm going to use it again. Bayley looked great in this one. This is the best that she has looked in a long time. She looks...
Yeah, she definitely showed some of the fire that we knew she had. It's like there's sort of a renewed commitment from her.
Mm-hmm.
They've had her be the sidekick for so damn long.
Yeah. They had her be the sidekick. They had her be the butt end of a joke. They had her be what? The wrestler, the fan who thinks she's a wrestler, I think.
Yeah, that was a Charlotte Bayley feud.
Mm-hmm. The wrestler who thinks she's a fan.
You mean the fan who thinks she's a wrestler?
Yeah, the fan who thinks it. Sorry. This match showcases everything that the audiences missed out on with Bayley back when she was an up-and-coming name in NXT, as well as coming to the main roster. This is the Bayley that we all know and love. Mm-hmm. The never say die attitude, the ferocious, fearless, never quitting wrestler that we know of. The match itself, intense. I think there's a small nitpick issue where they are a little bit sloppy, just a little bit by a bit, but overall she gelled with Asuka. The chemistry with both of these women are strong. And again, like I said, and Taker, you're gonna smile on this one. The Empress of Tomorrow continues to be one of Raw's cornerstones in 2018. She's the woman to watch. Yep. She's one of the women to watch, despite what the comments or the grouses that people are going to say about Asuka, and we both know this. All of us know about this. She remains one of the main points that Raw relies on to get the women's division up and rolling. So it's a good thing on all together.
And by the way, just a side note here, we were talking about Meltzer earlier. Mm-hmm. Did anyone read his Raw recap?
I didn't. Did you?
Did you?
The part I'm about to mention I read, which is the very first sentence of his review of the Asuka Bayley match is, Bayley's lost a lot of weight.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, what?
First off, that's not important. Second, what?
Yeah. Third off, what the fuck?
Yeah, no shit.
You're making comments on wrestling, and all you're focused on is the wrestler's weight?
Sidebar here, or side segue here.
Mm-hmm.
Meltzer a misogynist?
You think?
You think?
You think? Hello? This is not the Divas division. They're not eye candy, Meltzer. They're actual performers who know how to fucking wrestle.
On, Dave. Let's talk about this, Dave.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
It's so infuriating, not just to read that, but to read other things that Dave has written. And this ties into something that I'm very familiar with, which is the Michael Elgin situation. Meltzer's been defending Elgin to the hills. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He hasn't seen he's either hasn't seen or just been ignored the transcripts. Elgin fucked up. He did this to himself, and to go out and insinuate that he's either innocent or railroaded. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Dave.
I'm surprised Dave isn't defending Enzo Amore, for Christ's sake.
Jesus. I'll tell you this. If the Dave of today was around back then, he'd have said Nancy Dawes had it coming.
Yikes. Oh.
Well, am I supposed to take that statement back? No. That's how he's going right now.
Yeah. And I'm not telling you to to pull the statement back, because I agree. I mean, he's slowly making himself to be so out of touch, just like Vincent Kennedy McMahon is at points. It's just that he's worse now. Meltzer is worse out of touch than Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
And who thought we'd say that somebody was more out of touch than Vince McMahon?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, hell.
That's a strong statement, but that Meltzer's farther out of touch than Vincent McMahon, but it's the truth.
Okay. When
I can't find any way to refute that, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has stopped being an authority and started being a fan who still thinks he's an authority. He is the worst of us, basically.
Yeah.
Yes. He gives all of us bad name.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Dave, you like to say it. Go check out the transcripts, because reading is your friend.
I mean, I think he lost the skills to read stuff. He just reacts to the things that he finds and reacts to it. I mean, that's the whole stick of it.
If Bayley lost weight, that's fine. That's her choice.
And yeah, now I saw the whole. And yeah, Duke, I saw it. His tweet to someone asking him, "The Meltzer losing 4 matches straight means you got heat backstage. Tyler Bate looks fantastic. Puts on 5-star matches. Blah 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 blah." He comments, "Reading would be your friend."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
he says that a lot.
I mean, I can't believe it, but yeah, I'm going to say it. He's out of touch. He's so out of touch. Even he out of touches Vince McMahon on this.
Yeah. While I'm here, let me echo the sentiments of War Machine. Fuck Michael Elgin.
Of course.
Yes. Well, let's put it this way. He even the ignorance is ridiculous of Dave Meltzer. You like you said, he's worse than Vince McMahon. He's also worse than Beaver Boy. We all know who that is, don't we, Duke?
Oh God, that Bucky Beaver looking motherfucker.
Yes, you know exactly who I'm talking about. We're not going to say any names, but his initials are Kevin Dunn.
Yes.
Is it Devin Kunn? Never mind.
Yes, I heard that. We might as well just drop that right there and leave it.
Yeah. We don't want suddenly WWE sending emails. Cease and desist.
Yes. Which reminds me, negative I got the message negative.
Negative. Sure.
Figures.
Oh no. Figures.
God, I think we've been a little critical. But
What? Are we supposed to kiss their asses?
one would think so.
Come at us, boys. We'll give you our $0 we get from the show.
Yeah. That's the spot.
Yeah.
But again, okay, fine. Getting back on the track here again. Like I said, even if all of the points go against the whole thing, one of the other high points is Asuka versus Bayley, and the whole Bayley interacting with Sasha Banks backstage. That was perfect. To me, I think that was perfect. You guys, but to me, I think that was perfect.
It was done perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, Bayley beat Sasha twice.
Mm-hmm.
We all know, those of us that have been following Bayley since she came to WWE, I'm going to say it, NXT is part of WWE, whether no, it's separate, no, it's the same. It's all part of the same company. It's just run by someone who actually understands the business better than anybody.
Okay.
We all know who that is. That's Base H.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the shovel. He's a shovel on the main roster, but down in NXT, those are his kids. And
I just summarize it as Paul Hale myself.
Huh?
Paul Hale is how I put it.
All hail, yes.
Paul Hale. Yes.
All hail the king in NXT.
Although, quick segue. What did you think of that promo that for NXT that Paul Heyman cut?
Oh,
for Takeover in Philadelphia.
Yeah, the one Takeover. I loved it. That is vintage Paul Heyman. That's classic Paul Heyman right there.
That was classic.
About Philadelphia will never be wrong. So.
Yep. Will never be wrong. I mean, it just got me pumped. It gave me goosebumps. It got me pumped for Takeover Philly when I watched it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready.
There was not a bad match on that card.
Yeah, no
Even
shit.
Mr. Average put on a decent match.
Yes, no shit as well. I'll touch on this later. I'll touch on this later when we talk about NXT.
Yeah,
because I have one more high spot before we can go on nitpicking anything else about Raw. This high spot in particular, you may not like, Taker. And I do remember that you have a little bit of a beef when talked about this. We're talking about, the Elimination Chamber qualifier match between The Miz and Apollo Crews. And I hate to knock on the nail on this one because like I said, as much as Bayley and Apollo Crews are in the Bayley files for a reason, this is actually Crews' best match on the main roster.
I agree.
Number one. And the whole match, surprises, was dictated by The Miz. He's the one leading.
I know. I'll give him credit, but the thing about it is he still grates my nerves. He always will. And
yeah, of course, yeah.
This is well documented here, but it's also documented that I have given him his kudos when he deserves them.
Yes, and it is also well documented that I always remind you, isn't this a work of a good heel? To grate your nerves so much that...
Yes, it is. Just like the iconic duo grate my nerves.
Yeah, and just as much as Adam Cole, not as much actually grates my nerves. It just doesn't really do much for me. Like I said, credit where credit's due. He nails it on a mic. He dictates the whole thing because he brought a fast pace and a number of dramatic near falls for his match with Crews. The only thing that I think can be improved on Crews' end is that he needs just a little bit of character depth. Because he showed an impressive amount of athleticism and power in this one.
Well, if they would let him be the guy, the indie darling that he was as Wuhan Nation, let him tap into that more, he might actually get the hell over.
I know.
Here lies the issue with WWE. I don't know what it is when these people get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like what Cody said last week. You know, Cody Rhodes about he was asked by someone, does Vince have a tendency to hold people back? And he goes, no. He doesn't hold anybody back. The talent themselves hold themselves back after they get those first few LE checks.
I mean, I already said a lot about it, and the tweet by Cody Rhodes is actually quite surprising. When he said that, when he said that he doesn't really hold anybody back.
That's the last person I would have expected to say that.
Yeah,
because when he first left, he kept saying he was being held back. He was being held back. But now that he's out in the indie world and having to really bust his ass, he's realized I never had it so good.
Yeah, because he saw that, well, he wasn't improving when he was comfortable. When he's stable, when he's in a comfort zone, he doesn't improve. And I don't think this just applies to wrestling. It applies to us as a whole as well. When we're in the state of a comfort zone, you feel comfortable. You stagnate. You don't improve. You don't move forward. So yeah, you're gonna stuck in this.
You don't fix anything.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really do anything. You don't really fix yourself to be better or improve yourself to be better in what you do. And the same goes with Cody at that time. He could not evolve past his mid-card status despite all the chances that he get to improve on himself, to be in the main event.
Right.
To be in the upper card. He's stuck past.
I think it was rather interesting. You know, it was kind of refreshing, I guess, that he finally came out and said, "Yeah, when I was Stardust, I was sort of phoning it in. I didn't have the motivation to do anything." Which you know, anybody could have told you that, but
yeah, we all saw it by his performance in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. He was just,
and that's what
you go back to the roadblock in Toronto, and his match with Sami Zayn there was just so. He was sucking the life out of it. And Sami Zayn was somebody who would just come up, who needed something big, who was, you know, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, it was.
And, I mean, and here, you know, we could really make a comparison here. Look at Cody and look at his brother Dustin, Goldust. He's still, if you look at how his in-ring work, he still works hard in the ring every match he's in. Even in the mixed match classic or mixed match challenge, he works.
Yeah, Dustin. I mean, since he's gotten clean, he has been such a revelation. That 2013 run he had was amazing.
Yeah.
It's like when he came back to the WWE. When Goldust came back to the WWE, what was that? 2015? 2015.
He was back in 2013.
Okay, 2013. He was refocused and has busted his ass since he's been back.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the gatekeepers of the lower to mid carders.
Yeah.
You got to be able to keep up with him to move up.
I mean, it's not a knock on both Cody and I think Cody and Dustin. It's a compliment for both of them, especially for Cody. I mean, I think he realizes that once he's out from the comfort zone, that he has to bust his ass just to make money and do something about the path, the work commitment that he has to do. He realizes that maybe this is what I was missing back in WWE. I didn't have the determination to.
Didn't have the drive
and determination to improve himself. That's the case. And again, if that's the case as well, if this is the right case for Cody, then it would be. I don't think it would be a jump to say that the case wouldn't be as so with former Uha Nation Apollo Crews. Just needs the push. He just needs something to do.
Mm-hmm. He needs to push himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Apollo Crews character that's on the main roster is nothing like the Apollo Crews character that was in NXT.
Nope.
And there's one more character in NXT I'm worried about when they come to the main roster.
Who? Lars Sullivan?
No.
Then?
Velveteen Dream.
Ah.
There's a guy that's got it. I don't care. You may not like him. You may not like him, but he's one of those. That's for those of you who don't know, that's Patrick Clark, runner up to the latest Tough Enough series that they had.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that loves wrestling so much I woke up in the middle of the freaking night to watch the Beast in the East live on a network while he was going through Tough Enough. And he was the only one. He was the only one. No one else got up. This is a guy who loves wrestling as much as he loves life. And he has thrown himself into that character 100%. And he's
the new Goldust.
Yes, he is. He is the new Goldust. And I'm afraid they're going to screw him up.
Well, he just needs more. He needs more time right now. That's the good news, is that he is not going to be ready for the main roster anytime soon. So give him an extra 6 months to a year in NXT to build more confidence, to build more color into his character.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
So
I think he's on the right path.
form.
I think he's on the right path already for that one. Yeah, but he still needs time to fully grasp what he has fully developed. I think just to get the salt and pepper just nice with his character for that one. So yeah,
needs a little extra seasoning is what you're saying.
Yeah, a little extra seasoning.
Roast him up slow roast him like a brisket. Take your time.
There you go. There you go.
Yep. Slow roast him like a brisket. Works every time.
Yep. And
right.
the only, and something that my wife just brought up to me in the background said
mm-hmm.
the only real wrestler that they haven't screwed up since they brought up to the main roster is Asuka.
Yeah.
Think about it. They screwed up Bayley. They screwed up Becky. They screwed up Sasha by switching her back and forth between heel and face. Same with Charlotte. Balor, they start and stop with him.
They stopped screwing up Balor.
They basically got a Shinsuke Nakamura's character to this goddamn rock star.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what he is. We all know what Shinsuke is. He's from the strong style in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Let him be that. Let these people be what they are.
Apollo Crews.
We were talking about Apollo.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, if we're talking about Apollo, that means, let the character... I don't know. I think...
It's like Ruby Riott. I can't see her as a heel.
Ruby Riott sucks.
The character she's got right now sucks. On the main roster. I'm sorry.
I mean, the character she had back in NXT was...
Anti-establishment type Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
She was a woman.
She's interesting. The character in NXT was interesting. The character here... cut her off from Riot Squad and and give her some time to develop.
What do you expect? They brought her 4 other women up at the same time so that they could have Ronda Rousey point at her son.
Well,
and that's another thing I'm getting sick of hearing. Ronda Rousey's going to be the female Brock Lesnar. No, she's not.
And that's okay. She's not going to be the female Brock Lesnar. That's okay.
No, she's not, because Brock Lesnar is on one of those part-timer deals where he has, 20 dates a year, maybe, if we're lucky?
Probably. Give or take.
And Ronda came straight out and said to ESPN, to CBS Sports, to SI, this is not a publicity stunt. My focus is on wrestling. So she's all in.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people that are, she's going to be nothing but the next Brock Lesnar for the women. She's going to be there only once in a while, blah, blah, blah. They're going to put a title on her. She's never going to defend it, just like Brock. Please, folks, give the woman a goddamn chance.
But that said, they could do worse than treat her as the special attraction they've treated Brock Lesnar. Because,
yes.
Because to a lot of fans, she is a special attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they already seen what the result, what will be the result when they did just that. Case in point, Brock Lesnar. That's the biggest thing that is going on now. It's just that it's going to literally jump. You're literally going to jump the shark when you say that. He's gonna Ronda Rousey is gonna turn out just the same as Brock Lesnar, and she hasn't even wrestled her first match yet.
Yeah, you're putting pressure on Ronda Rousey because Brock Lesnar is a once in a lifetime talent.
Yes,
a once in a lifetime athletic specimen.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, just don't presume. And Rousey is one of these people who could probably. I hate to say this because it's going to sound so silly, but put her in NXT for a while after this whole WrestleMania spectacle, and let the story be. They gave me the world, and I didn't want it that way.
You could have it, yeah.
That would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect. For all we know, and people say, well, the movie doesn't end till the end of this month, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But she's already, people fail to realize if you look up her bio on Wikipedia, her grappling style, you know who she was trained by with her grappling? Jean LaBelle.
Oh, there's a name.
Yeah, a Hall of Fame wrestler. Not WWE Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
The actual wrestling, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, long time go back guy.
Yeah, he was a shoot specialist.
Yeah, and for others, if the name LaBelle sounds even vaguely familiar, it's because he invented the whole chicken wing headlock that eventually became the Yes Lock.
Mm-hmm. The LaBelle lock back then.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
Back then it was known as the LaBelle lock, and then they twisted they turned it to the Yes Lock. Yeah, okay.
A lot of the submission moves that are used in professional wrestling today, Jean LaBelle made and founded.
And of course, people who are already jumping the shark on saying that, Ronda Rousey is just the female version of Brock Lesnar. Just compare and contrast. I mean, back in this site and the community that we frequented, we all been a part of. There's a good article the title being Ronda Rousey is not the next Brock Lesnar, and that's okay. And I tend to agree because putting in a comparison, I think one big difference of Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey is that her will and her work ethic is far superior than Brock Lesnar's will and work ethic.
I would agree, and I think Duke would agree with that too. That her work ethic. I mean, plus there's one big difference between Brock and Ronda. Ronda's got more mainstream pull than Brock ever thought of having. She's got more mainstream pull in her little finger than Brock has ever thought of having in his entire life.
Yeah, and putting that aside, I think putting one point of it aside, I mean, people forget. I think people overlook. I think people tend to kind of oversimplify the point that Brock Lesnar is a part-time wrestler. Ronda is a full-timer, or going to be a full-timer.
Yeah, she's heading down she's going to head down to the performance center. She's going to learn everything. And while we've seen in the past with people, not just Brock Lesnar, but with Ken Shamrock and with Matt Riddle, that having MMA experience does help you in the squared circle, you still need to have the basics of how to. I mean, I've worked with people, not too many of those, but I've actually do training to be in the ring, and I've worked with people who have MMA background, and to know how to soften the hold enough.
They also have to learn how to take a bump.
Right, to learn how to get bumped down, because you do a lot more up and down in wrestling than you'll ever do in MMA. So there's a lot of things that she needs to learn, but I will say that having the MMA background, and that's going to be a big start.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Josh Barnett put this up perfectly when he talked about Shayna Baszler. When Shayna Baszler made the move from MMA to wrestling. You know how to throw a punch. You know how to throw a punch already. Now you just need to convince people that you are throwing a punch when in fact you're not actually throwing that punch.
Right.
She already has the legwork that any other regular wrestler takes years on, probably 2 or 3 years to train. And Baszler already has that. Any MMA fighter who comes from, any wrestler who came from the MMA background has that. It's just that they need to tweak between actually hitting the person, actually hitting to connect. Now they have to learn that they are throwing a hit just to sell off the notion that they are punching people rather than throwing a potato.
Don't go the Terry Funk route and actually hit the guy.
Or do the Shane McMahon style.
Oh, God.
Don't worry the clean, guys.
But if you look at some of the women punching today, it's like, oh, it must have been trained by Shane McMahon.
Probably.
Because some of them windmill like, well, I guess you could say they fight like girls. I'm not gonna hold it against them.
Fair enough, I guess. I mean, okay, fine. I'll wax lyrical.
That also might be a mandate for Buffett. Nah, don't hit him in the face. You know what's way I put into that thing?
Oh God, no.
Although I love some of the slaps that these women put out. I mean, holy shit.
Oh, and yeah, to knock out as much as we knock on women punch, the women wrestlers throwing a punch, they throw one wicked hell of a slap.
I wouldn't want to be slapped by any of those women. Would you?
No.
Oh no.
And you know who's the best slapper of them all is?
Stephanie McMahon.
There you go.
Rock even said that there's been times where she slapped him and it's rung his bell. So she brings it all when she slaps you.
Yeah. So yeah, never
because
underestimate.
Nobody's gonna get over on her in a promo.
Yeah. Here's a crazy idea from me for the WWE creative if they listen, for the women's wrestlers. Don't let them throw punches. Throw slaps. Open-handed slaps are doing good. Case in point, Asuka does that on a frequent basis.
Oh God, she's another one that could rearrange your dental work with a slap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't have to punch, you can chop. Those are, those work really well up and down the line.
Yeah, basically, I think it's not. The idea is not to put them on a level lower, but if you're not effective at throwing believable punches, you can rely on strikes.
Slaps, yes.
Slaps, chops, elbows, based from what I know anyway. So yeah.
Because you don't see Charlotte throwing very many punches.
Oh no, of course.
She's more forearms and slaps and chops.
Yep.
Do what you can do and avoid what you have trouble with.
Right.
Yeah.
And the famous words of Paul Heyman: accentuate the positives, hide the negatives.
Bingo.
Simple. Wrestling is simple.
Simple wrestling. Wrestling 101, people.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. Okay. We wax lyrical a lot about that already. Now, okay. I think we can move on to SmackDown. Again, I'm going to touch on just the positives. Probably we can nitpick on the negatives once we're done. On general note, I think SmackDown is the second show. For Raw for WWE this week. They underperformed back again. It's just that the start was sluggish for me. Because instead of us watching a wrestling match on Raw, we were instead treated to the opening promo with Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, and AJ Styles on the first segment. I mean, again, I think I've said a lot of stuff already about middle management storyline booking.
Oh, please.
And I hate to say it, and I hate to say this, but this is literally every other show opening promo by McMahon and Bryan over the past 2 months.
What do you think?
I thought that was going to die at the Royal Rumble.
No, they're not. Somehow
somebody needs to take that out behind the shed and put a 45 slug in its head. It needs to die.
I mean, it's not to knock on the whole. It's not to knock on the whole SmackDown, the whole week of SmackDown as a whole. It's just that when you start off with, like Duke said, when you start off with a promo, you're gonna bound to turn up something wrong. When you start off with a promo, you're pulling the attention away from the wrestling and back to its middle management bullshit.
Yeah.
So, because again, in its basicity, it's a wrestling show. Start with the wrestling. Start with a wrestling match. Then you can do a promo or something like that. I mean, whatever follows afterwards was average, of course, but business really actually picked up when Harper and Rowan, aka the Bludgeon Brothers, squashed a local talent. Unnamed talent, I think. It's either unnamed or local. I think
they're a local unnamed talent.
Okay. And
the way to put it.
Yeah. And it's a squash match, of course, but it delivered the point where Harper and Rowan bowl over opponents, particularly when they have the opportunity to, and they squish smaller competition, as is the case. And then what happened afterwards was the stare down with the Bludgeon Brothers and the Usos.
That happened before.
Yeah, that happened before.
Because the Usos were in the ring cutting a promo, blah, blah, blah. They walk out. The Usos are done. The Bludgeon Brothers walk out. They're just like looking at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing that was it.
Yeah, and that was it. And then after the break, Usos cut a promo and explain what the Uso Penitentiary is.
No, they did that beforehand.
Yeah.
They did that before the match with Harper and Rowan.
Okay. I'm just trying to go. Business picked up with these two. Because with Usos cutting the promo and then Bludgeon Brothers came out and then did the match, it brought back the energy up back again. So again, quite possibly one of the high spots for SmackDown. The promo, of course, Jimmy and Jey Uso cut. Quite possibly the best promo that they delivered.
It was after the match. It was
Yeah.
after the match.
Yeah.
No.
And it was short, but it was short, simple, to the point, straight, direct. No longer worried about their past of being bright and colorful. They embrace attitude and did that to quite possibly turn themselves to be one of the best tag team performers on WWE, quite possibly even on the wrestling scene altogether. Yeah. And of course, one of my friends, Sal, actually commented about the meaning of the word "uso" in Japanese is a little bit funny, but hey.
Really, what is it?
No way.
Oh, that bad?
No way. Not that bad.
I think he's saying that.
Oh, no way. That's what it means.
No way.
Literally means no way.
Oh, okay. I was like, because the way you did it, I was like, huh? Caught me there. I thought it was as bad as squid balls, but anyway.
But and then at first I didn't catch it, but then again when I said the Uso Penitentiary, there you go, the No Way Penitentiary. Okay. But all jokes aside, they cut quite possibly one of the best promos. It was short, passionate, fiery in a lot of sense. Other superstars, other wrestlers should be allowed to cut this kind of promo week in and week out. Please let them do that. Just please. And then,
of course, really come on as a promo in English. Like, I'm actually the stuff that he has done as Rusev's mouthpiece. It shows. I really like it. Yeah,
because he showed maturity and a little bit of creativity in actually delivering his promos. So, yeah, I like it. I mean, he has to have a certain amount of a lot of knowledge just to cast off and just to cast off, deliver those kind of lyrics, waxing lyricals about how Rusev was hyping up his partner and his associate Rusev, of course. It needs a certain amount of decorum, so he delivered that in spades. Even though, and kudos to him, he actually got back up from the knockoff that was the Vaudevillains, which was awesome. And then suddenly Simon Gotch was released, and then we thought that what would happen to Aiden English, but then
well, Aiden English was out in the prairie for quite a while, wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah, especially after Vaudevillains was disbanded with Simon Gotch gone.
And all of a sudden, they hooked him up with Rusev, and it just, there's a couple of guys, both of them, that have been taking the chicken shit that creative has been giving them and turning it into some of the greatest chicken salad I've ever seen.
And of course,
this whole Rusev Day thing was probably supposed to be a fucking joke, and they've turned around and made it a thing. I mean,
hell,
they ran out of calendars.
They ran out of calendars for Rusev Day.
Yeah, the Rusev calendar for
2,500 stuff went off and got themselves sold out, and then they had to make an extra 5,000 just to keep up with demand. So yeah,
and like that.
You never know what's going to happen in wrestling. You don't know what's really going to connect with the fans. I mean, you can have a guy who, just to use an example that you'll all recognize, you can have a guy who throws himself off tall places, who bleeds buckets all over the world. Crowd might not care until he puts on a sock puppet. You just don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's another one that took off like a shot. Something that Braun said to Heath Slater, "Come get these hands." Get these hands. Okay, now he's got a shirt that says "Get these hands." They can't keep it. Every time I go on WWE.com, it's sold out.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just the simplest of things that actually we don't know. We don't know what ridiculous things that could get over. Get these hands suddenly got over. Rusev Day suddenly got over. A lot of things. It's the intent. I think it's the intangible.
It's the simple things that are getting over. That's the thing. It's like Straight Fire. They can't keep the Straight Fire shirts.
That got over.
They can't. That got over.
Kudos to both of them, I guess. I believe, because as much as I would like to say that, as much as the one side of me would say that, please WWE do something better for Rusev, I think it's not fair. I think it's a fair assessment for me, but then again, that's just me. There's a lot of other people that should deserve the same amount of push. So,
well, you don't have to do something better for Rusev. What he's got right now is working.
Yeah. And again, and that's the other point. Yeah.
They don't need anything. They don't need anything right now for him. He's making something work.
And he got over.
And he's over like crazy. He's a face. He's over organically as a face. And here is the thing. Prime example. The Undertaker himself never really changed his initial character when he was the whole "not yours" promo he cut on Jake Roberts.
Oh yes.
But at that point he was already over as a face because he grabbed the chair from Jake Roberts and hit him with it because he was about to smack Elizabeth in the face with it. Or that's what we were led to believe. And at that point, he became an instant baby face, even though he never changed how he was in the ring.
And even if he hasn't really said that he's a face or alluded that he's a face.
Right. Exactly.
It's
He just
sometimes
got
the easiest face characters are do the same thing you're doing, just change the target.
That's the simplest thing, and it's that's why making someone a face or a heel is simply changing targets. That's all it is. Bailey becoming a heel would be so easy to do. Have her jump and beat the shit out of Sasha in the back. Just because she's sick of being the sidekick. Simple. She comes out, Renee asks her, why'd you do that? And she just says, I'm sick of being a sidekick. I want the spotlight on me. That's it. Simple.
And I think that's...
You can even go even further, make it even simpler. You know, all she has to say is, you ever heard that nice guys finish last?
Yeah, I did.
That's all she has to say is, you know, and it would explain all of it, because her entire character has been about being friendly, been about being, you know,
nice girl,
in good shape with everybody. Sometimes that just doesn't work.
That character is not working on the main roster.
Yeah, but
Bailey needs to become the cold bitch who is sick of being in Sasha's shadow. Basically, what I was getting to. She's sick and tired of being in Sasha's shadow. Just like Sami Zayn. If you listen to what is going on between those two before the match last week, Sami is tired of being in Kevin's shadow.
Okay, but
the groundwork is there.
Here's a good question from the chat, though. The question with some of the simpler things getting over is that whether it's sustainable. Madeline said that she really liked Rusev, but on the basis of it, it's a comedy act. How far can it be pushed before it gets old?
One example. New Day is still a comedy act, and their faces and they're over like nobody's business. I mean, here's three guys that have taken a box of cereal, Bootios, and got that over. Now they've got pancakes over. Only the New Day could pull that off, right? No. It's the right chemistry with the right people involved. Aiden English and Alexander Rusev can pull this off if they're allowed to run with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the question of how far you run with it, as far as it goes.
Exactly.
Don't question it, just keep pushing it.
That's right. Push it until people can't stand it anymore. I mean, when the New Day debuted as heels, it wasn't working. They tweaked it a little bit and slowly but surely got over as faces. And now they're the most over-faced team on the roster. Those three clowns. I call them the three clowns because that's what they are, three clowns. But you know what? They're enjoying themselves. You can actually see it when they perform in the ring or when they're doing they're loving what they do. They're being themselves.
And
I never knew Kofi was that funny.
When a wrestler loves what he's doing, it makes everything better. It shines through. The best.
I never knew Kofi Kingston was that funny. Right. He's hysterical.
I mean, okay.
When you talk about people who love what they do, this just popped in my head. You know, it's sort of the Randy Orton principle. When the wrestler enjoys themselves, they're better. When the wrestler doesn't, it drags down.
Yeah, and Madeline brings up two more teams. She goes, another example, Breezango.
Oh yeah,
and another one, Slater and Rhino. There's three teams right there that absolutely love what they're doing.
Well, Heath Slater is one of my favorites. Just one of my guilty pleasure favorites because he is
a total goddamn goofball.
Yes, and the best part is he looks like he's just happy to be in the WWE and has been, you know, face or heel. That's how he acts, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, he's himself. Rhino trying to toughen him up.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. It's funny to watch.
But guys, the point is that those examples were the examples that they burned out quickly and got ignored. and initially when they were reunited, I could say it's less prevalent for Breezango, because when they are not wrestling, they actually made fashion files and got over with that. It's just that, and then it's just that the bigger question is that, but they're not wrestling. Should that be the noose, or should that be the whole albatross around the neck? Just even if they're enjoying themselves, shouldn't they be allowed to wrestle?
Well, you can build to a match through the fashion files. That's not a problem. Mm-hmm. And certainly, if you can get somebody over and keep them healthy at the same time, you've won. So,
yeah, okay. And as the case for Slater and Rhino, would that apply as well? Because
to a degree, yeah. I mean, the two of them work well together. They've got great acting chemistry, mm-hmm. and you can do a lot of things that just keep them noticed, keep them in the mind, and it's a lower card story. You don't need to have them in the ring every week.
Fair enough. I mean, you're sure.
Yeah, here lies the problem. What happens when the comedy dies? Madeline's right. But we saw when is the comedy going to end with the New Day?
Has the comedy died down with the New Day?
I don't think so. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing with Graves right now.
Well, they're hyping up Graves for this one. I mean,
yeah, but look what they're doing though. Okay, this is on the Mixed Match Classic. Mm-hmm. You have Big E and Carmella come out, right? Mm-hmm. And you hear them talking. Also, you go to a shot of Cole, Beth Phoenix, and Corey Graves, and there's a stack of about 8 pancakes sitting on top of Corey Graves' head. Mm-hmm. I saw that and busted out laughing.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. I mean, he can't stand the pancake thing. And then there's Big E tossing him at him from the ring. And every time one hits him, Corey's reacting and jumping around. It's like, come on, people. There's always comedy in something. The trick is finding it. And the New Day has a knack for finding it. All 3 of them.
Okay. I think what we could agree with is that I think the New Day is a comedy act. Still is a comedy act. And they're perfectly fine with being a comedy act. There are options of them either getting serious, which they have done when they fought up against the Usos.
Yeah, they know when it's time to be serious.
Yeah.
The whole Wyatt family rivalry they had. That was a perfect example of that they knew how to build to a serious moment.
Yes, good. I mean, could the other undercard tag team division pick up on that one? I mean, in the case of both Fandango and Tyler Breeze, especially with the comment of Tyler Breeze saying that they are trying to sort of deviate themselves away from fashion files.
I think the issue is you need to find something that fits what your character is doing at the time. Going away from comedy might work if it leads to a development in, it leads to a good character or a good story. Uh-huh. Right now with Breezango, I'm not sure where they would go because the entire concept is just so ludicrous.
Yeah. Okay. Because how am I supposed to put this? Both Tyler Breeze and Fandango are good wrestlers. I won't say they're great, even if I'm going to dive in back to NXT, Prince Pretty himself has often placed himself in the main event of being the NXT Championship back then. But now he's relegated to comedic act.
But in the ring, they're both great carpenters. Both Fandango and Tyler Breeze. Uh-huh. And if you look at the Ascension, They're carpenters too, and they're good at it.
Talking about them.
We don't need a lot of carpenters on the main roster.
No. Sure. Okay.
But there's nothing wrong with somebody who can get themselves over without having to win matches. That's always valuable.
Oh yes, of course. That's not a problem at all. Even if they're, again, comedy acts that perpetually loses and all that. Case in point, Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, there's another comedy act. But he's embraced his losing streak.
He does. And again, like I said, talking about the Ascension, they had a match with Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. They were the punching bag. Literally, they were the punching bag for both American Alpha 2.0, or American Beta.
Yeah, American Beta.
Mm-hmm. It's probably because of a need that they need to push the narrative of Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable being pissed off at how they were losing to the Usos, and they're showing a nastier side of aggression. Again, at least until WWE creative forgets that they are around or actually win the titles. But Ascension practically became their punching bag, and okay, fine, fair enough. Talk about another set of teams who, got their gimmick killed off, and never becoming a comedy act in the first place, just placeholders. The Ascension, my goodness. And to think that they were NXT Tag Team Champions back then, too.
At one time, yeah.
Yeah, that was a case where I don't think Vince really got what made the Ascension.
And surprise.
Well, remember, Vince turned JBL on him. And JBL is a master of burying people, literally.
Yeah, and surprises.
He's better at it than the shovel himself.
Yeah, and back then, surprises as well. Kenneth Cameron was also part of the Ascension. If you guys don't know who Kenneth Cameron is, I will not say, because his name has been mud ever since.
Yeah, incredible foresight to get him out of the way.
Yep, incredible foresight to get him out after the whole alleged that Kenneth Cameron allegedly assaulted someone.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, allegedly, but then again, he turned into Bram and got into even deeper water.
Yep.
So, anyway.
But yeah,
anyway, I mean,
this discussion is something we could really talk about for hours, because there are so many, Heath Slater, along with Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre, for that matter, all three of them were part of a comedy act at one point.
You've got a lot of time.
Yeah,
all part of 3MB.
Yep, the 3-man band, and they went off and made names for themselves. So yeah. I mean, I think at that time they know that the comedy act was getting old and the comedy act was running its course. Okay, even if circumstances actually didn't place for Jinder Mahal got himself what? Jinder Mahal was let go. Drew McIntyre asked to leave. So yeah,
and then he was released. The only one that remained with WWE was Heath Slater, and he was turned into a comedic. Jobber for a while.
Yeah, he turned into comedic.
He got himself, the whole "I got kids" thing.
Oh, that's another word. That's another word that
got over. That is something that got over.
I got kids. I don't care that you got kids.
He won himself a job, and
have no idea what's going to work in wrestling ever.
Yeah. Ever.
What's that?
Just another example of how you don't know what the heck's going to work in wrestling.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I got kids. Yeah.
You just don't know. Something simple like I got kids. Here again, simple shit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to piss some people off, but I'm going to say this. Most wrestling fans prefer the simple-minded shit because their lives are complicated enough. Outside of this is the one or two times a week, for a few hours each week, we could shut off the outside world and just watch something that we know isn't quote unquote real, but it is real to a point.
It's still
we know
real,
it's we know it's predetermined. We know all of that.
But it's still real to us, damn it.
Yeah, it's real to a lot of people. It was real to me for many, many years when I was younger. Okay, but we know it's predetermined, but it's a fantasy world. And we're living through these characters, these wrestlers, and these performers vicariously.
Yes, I agree. Oh, God, Madeline, you brought up a worse memory. Three-man band, best known for being the seconds in the WLC match.
Yes. Getting their lunch money stolen by the Shield. Yep, I remember that.
I don't mind about the lunch money stolen by the Shield. The WLC, oh, God, no.
That was funny, though. That was El Torito and
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle, yes.
Didn't that defy all expectations and actually be an okay match?
It actually defied expectations. Still, in an age where people are clamoring for real, actual wrestling, we still have midget wrestling in WWE.
Hey, let me put it to you like this: have you ever watched CMLL?
Not much, no.
The minis. You know this as well as I do. The minis are big down there.
Oh yeah,
the minis are big in Mexico. Big.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's where El Torito came from. Mascanita Dorada was one of the big mini acts in Mexico. So big, in fact, that they actually made a full-size version of them. Usually, it's the other way around. And in fact, that full-size version is now known as Gran Metalik.
Okay. Interesting.
That's right. And a lot of people don't know just how big, because in Mexico, the minis are treated like normal superstars.
Of course.
Here in the States, which bothers me, is that they make them a sideshow act. And some of these midget, they call them midget wrestlers. And I'm going to say, and I know it may not be politically correct, but it is what it is. They work just as hard, if not harder, than the normal size wrestler.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're still wrestlers, despite their size.
And I'll tell you what, if you piss one of them off, they will fuck you up. I don't care. They'll probably fuck you up worse than a full-size wrestler would.
Here's a funny story, and this is a small segue. Here's a funny story on my end. I pissed off a midget once back in college. I pissed off a midget. The following night, I got beat down by a bunch of midgets. Man, they swarmed me like hell.
And they beat the holy shit out of you.
Yeah.
Before you knew what was happening, you were down the floor getting the shit kicked out of you. You're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, what the hell just happened?
And you didn't fuck with them anymore, did you?
Nope.
If the Wizard of Oz was real life, the Wicked Witch would have got the shit kicked out of her by the Lollipop Guild.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Dorothy won't make it in time. They got kicked. The Wicked Witch was kicked off by the midget the Lollipop group.
The flying monkeys or whatever the hell they were.
No. The midget in Emerald City. The midgets in Emerald City.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, Madeline. I got myself in deep shit back in college at one point with a few height impaired people.
Height challenged, yes.
Height challenged people. What started off as just a joke became personal for that guy, and I got beat down. I had to explain to some of the people that it's just a joke. He took it personally. But yes, I got beat down by midgets. Anyway,
the things we learn on shooting the breeze.
Anyway, okay.
You should have never told me this because you're never going to live that down with me.
Oh.
I might just send 100 midgets to your door.
By now, I think I'm okay with that. They're fine. They're fine. They're fine. If you send me 100 bull nakanos, I'll lock my door.
There's a name from the past, eh, Duke?
Oh yeah. one of my favorite shows to watch back in the day was SummerSlam '94. Nakano and Alundra Blaze had a very good match, and I was hoping that would lead to something, but Vince being Vince, it didn't.
Yeah. Can't say much about it.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Get back on the SmackDown here.
Okay. One best point. And I'm not saying this because this is the main event and all that. It's because the wrestling was good. The wrestling was excellent, actually, considering the two players, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, for the number one contender match.
It ended stupidly.
It ended stupidly, of course. Fine. The idea was to further the story of both Bryan being biased in favor of his ROH buddies and whatnot, but but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the processes of Owens and Zayn wrestling in the ring just for the number one contender title match. Other than all the bullshit that happens afterwards, this is the match that reminded me way back when both these people are in the independents, wrestling as Kevin Steen and El Generico, and putting up those years-long rivalries, years-long storylines that got to a point where we almost feel that they hate each other, or they actually they're actually best friends and then rivals, and then best friends back again and rivals again. This is one of the match. This match reminds me of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was seeing shades of the NXT matches they had
as well.
Only thing I was waiting to see was the apron bomb.
Oh yeah, they haven't. I think they could have brought it up until the untimely, before the untimely appearance of Bryan suddenly saying, "Oh, okay."
What started it was Sami Zayn getting in. Well, once I saw Sami Zayn getting into AJ's face, I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go." Mm-hmm. I knew what was going to happen at that point.
But you know what? I'll defend that. That's okay, because the story right now is that AJ has trouble with both of them. Mm-hmm. He had trouble with both of them. He lost his temper. Mm-hmm. He's sort of put himself in this bad situation. But we know that at the end of the day, this is going to lead to a dividing and conquering. I mean, you can say it was a dumb finish, but I think it was just a necessary finish.
It was, okay. It does, like you said, it does kind of look kind of dumb, but I can see that.
Well, it's a dividing conquer. It was too predictable. I knew it as soon as he was on a commentary. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. We're gonna have a stupid goddamn finish. I knew about the finish, but I was like, I had to see it for myself, and I'm like, oh hell no, not again. This old gimmick. I mean, that's old. That's one of the oldest things in the book.
I mean, here's one point I'll put to dot on this one for this one. Don't you guys see that this is actually essentially Royal Rumble repeating itself again?
Sort of, but it's not a handicap match this time.
This time it's not a handicap match. This time it's a triple threat match now.
And I actually think that's the difference, because the first time Owens and Zayn were working together, this time they can't work together, and that's going to be what's going to advance the story there.
It's actually a fatal four-way.
Oh, now, yeah.
That's right. Oh, we have to talk about.
Okay.
Just when everything's making sense.
Or actually maybe five, because we got Ziggler and Boring Corbin. I think are both going to be added to that match, and it's like, so whoever wins that match between Ziggler and Corbin. Why do I get the feeling it's going to be Ziggler?
On that one, I'd say 50-50 on that one. I can't see
Boring Corbin in a world title match.
No, I can't see Ziggler winning. I can't see Corbin winning. It's still 50-50 for me. Especially in the sense that if Ziggler wins, that makes no sense. Other than the fact that you want someone to pin over. For Baron Corbin, I think it's fine, because here's the thing. Surprises, Baron Corbin is actually getting over.
Well, you mentioned in passing it may be 5. That, you know what? I'm going to predict that's the finish. Is that Sami Zayn?
They're going to be 5.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens think that Shane is trying to lessen their odds. Mm-hmm. They hear the winner is going to get in. They say, "Okay, let's make sure there's no winner," and then Shane's going to put them both in. I'm on record now. Put it down. That's my prediction.
I agree. I'll second that.
Fatal 5-way for Fastlane. Okay.
Why
that's
not?
Actually a good. That's actually a good sounding match gimmick. Fatal 5-way on Fastlane.
Okay, yeah. Madeline Lenoir, she's on record as saying Fatal 5-way with Ziggler winning the WWE title at Fastlane. You're on record now. You're on record now, Madeline. You're in trouble. If that happens, I'm gonna blame you.
No, AJ is going to find a way to win the match just because there's, Nakamura's already called a shot. They're not going to alter that. But
no, of course not. Because WWE knows that this is their money making event. That's their money. That's their money match right there.
Oh yeah, they'll be printing money with that match.
Yeah, they hate to admit they will hate to admit the fact that match is going to print money more than the fact that they're going to print money off of Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, or something like that. Because people, especially the smart nation, people, especially the smart crowd, especially the ones in the internet wrestling community, they will go out on a limb just to watch AJ Styles and Nakamura again.
They'll watch that match 100 times. Every time it's put on, they'll print money.
Yep.
All because of the tease at the Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm. But hey, sure. If it means furthering the whole thing of AJ Styles as a fighting champion, then okay, fine. Fatal 5-way for Fastlane it is. Just that it doesn't really discount the fact that AJ Styles is the dumbest ass this week.
Yeah, he gets the dumbass award of the week.
Yeah.
No, please don't call the Lollipop Guild. Please don't call the Lollipop Guild. I concede the point. Anyway, I mean that's it for SmackDown. Again, SmackDown is the second show for this week after Raw. Raw remains strong. I mean they're churning out good. They're churning out good shows for Raw, and funnily enough, overlooks the fact that I have SmackDown. Okay, let's toss in something that I can do. I think that's what happened.
Before we go to NXT, just want to, because this is probably the only thing that's even worth talking about with Impact.
Okay.
I want to mention Sanjay Dutt on commentary for Impact was really good, and I want to build him up because he is he's actually a local product. He plays up being of Indian heritage, but he grew up in Northern Virginia, went to school about a couple miles from where I live right now. He's the godfather of Nova Pro, they call him. Basically, he's the hometown hero. And I love that he's able to, even during this injury that he has, I love that he's able to have something that gets him on TV and that people love him for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I did not catch Impact this week. I did not watch Impact this week. It's just I heard that he was on commentary and he was on point. It was good.
Yes,
it was actually quite good. Very good. He was actually very good. So yeah, okay, fine. A shout out to Sanjay Dutt. If he's going on the route of being a professional co-commentator or something like that, this is something that he could do.
Well, he's basically doing it while he's rehabbing his injury. So
yeah, it's something that I kind of sort of like what CM Punk did back then when he was out injured and he was
exactly.
Yeah, but I like it. I think I'll just watch this week's Impact just to listen to what that brings. If he's good, if people are praising his work as a commentary, I think go for it. It's going to be great, and if he can improve on that one, he's going to be great. So yeah.
All right.
Okay. Before and that's actually just going out on a sweet note for NXT then. Again, I think other than the main event, the rest of the card was okay, decent enough.
The rest of the card were serviceable. The main event, Killian Dane stole the show.
Oh yeah.
Period. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking forward to on a quick side note on this though, what I'm looking forward to that now that War Machine is part of NXT, or is about to be part of NXT, I'm looking forward to Heavy Machinery versus War Machine. That is going to be one beefy ass
lots of
fight.
beefs.
Lots of beef there.
But nothing makes wrestling better than when you get guys with 300 pounds who can throw each other around.
Yes.
I'll try and find it at some point, but on Daily Motion, if you can find it, the Steiner brothers versus Bam Bam Bigelow and Vader from back in Japan. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful.
I mean,
I've seen it. I've seen it. It's like, holy shit, those guys are moving fast.
Yeah.
And I think we could see a repeat on this one also, because these four men are known to be deceptively fast, belying their size, of course.
Well, who would think that, Otis Dozovich is as fast as he is? He doesn't, you look at the way he walks out to the ring and everything, he walks out like, do. But man, he gets in the ring and he's like lighter than hell on his feet.
Yep.
Yeah. Or he looks like an 80s wrestler that's just thrown out there to be big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's as light on his feet as Vader was. And Vader was, Leon was deceptively fast for his size.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the I think he's among one of the big men back in the 90s and 80s that looks the size, is big for his size, but is deceptively fast. The other one off on my head for that one would be Bam Bam Bigelow as well. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bam Bam Bigelow doing stuff off the top rope. Who saw things like that from a man that size? You didn't.
Bam Bam Bigelow throwing a cartwheel into the middle of a match. Who saw that?
Really? Yeah. It's like
yeah.
It's
unbelievable back then.
Yeah, and you didn't have the holy shit chance.
No, of course.
Imagine somebody like Bam Bam Bigelow size or Vader size for that matter coming off the top rope. I mean, look at Kevin Owens coming off the top rope. His big ass.
I mean, it could happen with Heavy Machinery and War Machine.
Oh yeah. Oh, please.
Two of them are hard hitting. The other two of them are hard hitting. The other two can actually.
There's one more person I'm waiting to see come off the top rope.
Who?
That's big. And that was the star of the main event, Killian Dane.
Okay. I think credit goes.
He is another one of those that's deceptively fast sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd give credit to Dane because he's the difference maker for Sanity, but I would also give Wolf credit as well because, well, Alexander Wolf sold his heart out on the ring.
Oh, he did. Hell, so did what the hell's his name? The leader of that group.
Eric Young.
Eric Young. Eric Young always was great at selling.
Yeah, but I think on this one, Alexander Wolf sold his heart out. I mean, even when they won, Sanity won, and Killian Dane picked up Alexander Wolf by the neck under his arm. He's still selling his tiredness and all that. He got beat down a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you realize that we're about to head into a golden age of big man tag teams here. Not just Heavy Machinery. You got Sanity, you got War Machine, you got the Authors of Pain. Let's not forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
Legend Brothers.
Authors of Pain. Speaking of Authors of Pain and Paul Ellery, my wife and I were talking about that just the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Authors of Pain. Road Warriors 2.0, maybe.
Could be.
I mean, they're big enough. They're big enough. They're fast enough. Because you look at how fast they are.
Yeah. I mean, they could be.
We haven't seen really this era of, big power tag teams since, the heyday of like the Road Warriors and the Powers of Pain and
Steiner Brothers and that. Yeah.
Really.
We haven't really seen that because most of the time when we were conditioned for tag teams, it's more high flying, fast paced, and high risk, high maneuvers, high risk, high reward maneuvers. So, yeah.
Right, and now we're getting back to the beefy power tag teams with War Machine, Heavy Machinery, Authors of Pain, Sanity, and I see it. You know what? What's old is new again.
Yep. What's probably yeah.
Everything's a cycle.
Everything is a cycle. Yeah.
Yep.
What's old is new, and what's new is old. So, yeah. But I I think one of the biggest attraction that Dane has for me on one point was the whole Michinoku driver that he threw on Fish, which wow, he did it way better than Piper Niven did.
Yes. And the Michinoku driver is a form of a pile driver, and you're actually letting him do it, which means he meets the strength requirement.
Yep.
Because we all know that any type of pile driver is not allowed in NXT at all levels, or in WWE at any level.
Or heavily scrutinized. They have to
scrutinized. They have to prove that they're strong enough to hold and protect the other performer. And that was put into place after the Owen Hart incident with Stone Cold.
Right, yeah. And the Undertaker was basically the only one who was allowed to do it for so long.
And
Undertaker and Kane were the only two that were allowed to do any type of pile driver.
At that time, at this point in time, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Other than the fact that Dane continued to be money, for me, the other person whose money is actually Bianca Belair.
Yeah, squash local talent.
Yep, squashing. Oh, of course, squashing local talent. But she's charismatic. She's confident. She has athleticism in spades. She's a perfect fit for a rapidly rebuilding women's division. I jumped the shark, and I gladly jumped the shark on this one. She has the potential to star alongside Ember Moon, Shayna Baszler, Kairi Sane, or probably even scarier, even eclipse them, even go over them for that matter.
I mean, stay with them. I could see go over them. I don't know about that because, well, I don't.
She still needs work. That's one nitpick that that's one point that I would say. That's one point that I would nitpick. But she, of course, she doesn't have the experience of both Ember Moon or Kairi Sane, or she doesn't have the look of a legitimate badass like Baszler. She still has the athletic ability. She still has immense strength.
Right.
Because hell, even with this one, when she faced against a local competitor, she muscled her opponent. She bossed him. She bossed her around. If that doesn't make any point, go back to the Mae Young Classic where she faced against Kairi Sane. All of it though. She had the height, she had the strength, she had the size advantage. She doesn't have the experience that Kairi Sane has, which makes the difference for that one. So, right. And I see great things for her basically, and it's a good thing to see her back again on NXT after so long that we haven't really seen her. Is that there is light for the women's division in NXT still. There's a lot of and of course, talking about women's wrestling again, I can't really overlook the fact that we have Candice LeRae on NXT.
For how long though? Because what is it, next week?
I'll avoid spoilers. I'll avoid spoilers for this one.
Next week that we have the match with Gargano and Almas.
Again, yes.
Leave, or if Gargano loses, he leaves NXT.
Yeah, and I already know the spoilers on that match, so I'm not gonna spoil it for you. You have to you have to watch that one then.
Because Candice LeRae already knows how to work to the cameras. We saw that in the Mae Young Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't need much.
Yeah,
and
both. I think by now, Gargano doesn't really need much now. Candice LeRae, of course, doesn't really need much anymore.
No.
Almas and Vega are already fine-tuning their character up to a T. Almas looks sharp as a champion now. Way back when
he got his fire back when he got Vega by his side.
Yeah, he got his fire back, especially, and when he got the NXT Championship title, he made that look good on him. He made the title look good on him.
That's the job of the champion.
Yeah, he made that title look good.
Make that title, not the title. Make the champion.
Yeah, and of course, again, praise to Zelina Vega. She did a lot of the legwork for Almas to actually spread out his wings and be himself.
Well, yeah. Think about it though. They had him there we all know what he could do down in CMLL. We saw it.
Mhm.
I saw it. He was great. When he came up to NXT, it was solo by himself. The original character they gave him was shit.
Well,
Absolute shit. To bring in Zelina Vega along, yeah.
Okay.
In the storyline, she refocused him.
Yeah.
And in all actuality, they just finally said, look, do what you know how to do. And he's out there doing it and showing, hey. I'll say this much.
Okay.
He's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to go up.
He looks ready to go up.
Yep.
It's just that he needs a little bit of time. Just small, minute fine-tuning. I mean...
Not just that, but they're giving him time to learn how to be the franchise of a brand, because I think that's their ultimate goal, is to make him the selling point for the Latin audience, the way that they did with Rey Mysterio, the way they tried with Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah. And I think they have a perfect model for this one with Almas, because, well, obviously now he looks better for it. Less issues than Alberto Del Rio, of course, but that's water under bridge. They have another another Latin wrestler in the making.
Exactly.
If they don't ruin this, because Almas back then as La Sombra was good. He's not great, he's good. Going up to NXT, it elevates him from good to being great now that he has the NXT title. Yeah. And who knows, maybe he could even be WWE's version of Tetsuya Naito, but that's just me jumping the shark too much.
Well, that's just because, of course, as those who know, La Sombra taught Naito all of the tricks of being ingobernable. So,
yep, he did. La Sombra taught Naito everything he needed to be ingobernables. And I think,
just thought of this, by the way. Let's assume for the moment, and I haven't seen the spoilers, so I don't know, but let's assume for the moment that Almas defeats Gargano and sends him on his way to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
The story they could go with from here, you asked what would Candice be doing?
Mm-hmm.
How about Candice, known to be an intergender wrestling expert, getting revenge on Ciampa on her husband's behalf?
Oh, and start off the whole thing that Candice LeRae is famous for? Her fighting against men?
If anybody's going to do a woman versus man match, it's going to be those two.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that path. Yeah, I could see that path going in. I mean, Ciampa, for one, is also famous for actually going up against and wrestling against women before. So, especially against Candice LeRae.
And it would be, the crowd gets so into it because from what I've seen online, people just hate Ciampa's character. They want him to die.
Speaking of which, there's a friend of the show who has said on more than one occasion here and on other podcasts that he needs to die. That's Don Sal.
Sal talked about a lot on it.
He does not. He cannot stand.
Back when Johnny and Tommaso were tag team partners, they were like brothers to him. And when Ciampa backstabbed him, he's dead.
Yep,
it's fantastic, really, to see some of his reactions on NXT. It's like, oh god, not this fucker again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why Ciampa doesn't really grate on your nerves a lot more than The Miz does on you, Taker.
I wasn't that invested in that tag team, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. No, but my goodness, the reaction for Ciampa for all this, my god, it's even worse. I mean, I'll talk it on a kayfabe kind of thing. It's even worse than how, say, The Miz being treated, or even Roman Reigns getting booed. To be perfectly honest.
Well, Don Sal and myself have come to an agreement that his dislike and distaste for Ciampa is the same as my dislike and distaste for The Miz. We've agreed to that. And you were there, if you remember correctly.
Yes, I was.
So,
okay. Okay. Here's a good few questions before we sign off for the night or for the day for you guys.
I need sleep.
If Almas goes up to the main roster, will Zelina follow?
I don't see why not.
She has to. That the combo is what makes it great. Individually,
The act depends on it.
Yeah.
The character will depend on it. That's like it's no different. It's like it's the same question I've asked about Authors of Pain when they go up with or without Paul Ellering.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Paul Ellering is such an integral part of that tag team. He has to go, or that tag team ain't going to be anything.
Okay. And let's say if tomorrow, let's say if next week, the whole Almas versus Gargano goes in, and I'm not spoiling anything, but let's say, even if I know, I'll cover it up. If Gargano loses and he goes away from NXT and suddenly being pushed, and in tying to the recent success of the Mixed Match Challenge, do you actually see what Duke posited? Probably our first in a long time man versus woman match in NXT.
Well, it isn't all that long ago that we had a intergender match.
This is not
on SmackDown. We had one.
Well,
James Ellsworth doesn't count.
he has the proper plumbing to qualify as a male. Does he not?
That wasn't man versus woman. That was woman versus ragdoll.
Like I said, plumbing wise, he qualifies as a man. So therefore, it was an
okay. Plumbing wise, he does. Yeah, he has a pipe.
Basically squashed his ass.
But okay, I think that's an outlier considering that most people would actually say James Ellsworth doesn't count because he's. And I find it hard to say that
he wasn't a threat. It didn't feel like a threat.
I just don't see WWE really going that route.
On the main roster, perhaps not. Probably
right.
NXT.
I don't know. I don't know if Paul Hale.
Because if Triple H did his homework correctly,
he knows.
Know that. Yeah, okay. If he did his homework correctly, he knows that Candice LeRae and Tommaso Ciampa can go against one another.
He knows the history of the two. I think to Taker's point, though, it's just does the WWE have the leverage, have the leeway to do something like that, where the man would be seen as a threat to the woman's well-being?
The only woman, or the only two women on the main roster, and one of them's currently out injured, that could actually pull off an intergender match are Tamina, because she's one of those Islanders as strong as an ox, and Nia. And it's not because of Nia's size. Nia is strong enough, physically strong enough, to make the match more competitive.
Okay,
that's how I see it. I may be completely wrong.
Well, I see where you're coming from there. I would say the big thing when it comes to doing, if you're going to do intergender, and if you're not 100% certain, don't do it, obviously. But the big thing you have to know is the woman has to be somebody whose skills are such that they would still be effective against the men. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be strong. If you take somebody like Candice LeRae, she was able to do it because her skills involved hitting and running. When Lita was in her prime, she was in a lot of intergender matches because her skills were counter wrestling. Things that translate well no matter who the opponent is. So you've got to be careful, but that I don't know.
Okay, MDS. I see what you put in the chat room. I see what you put there. Yes, she could because she went against Pentagon on Lucha Underground. I know.
I mean, I'm just countering.
She still got her arm broke. So she lost her match.
Fine.
Asuka could. I agree with that. Completely 100%, Madeline. Asuka could do it.
Yeah, she's got the aura that she could pull it off.
She'd probably make Tommaso Ciampa her bitch.
I mean, okay.
You hung it out there. You knew eventually I would see it. You knew eventually.
There is not just an atmosphere, but there's an appetite for it. It's not that it's not seen as taboo anymore.
No, of course not. I mean, it's an option. It's an option for a good wrestling match.
It's not. Well, you know what? I'm gonna steal something from Angel, or I think it was Angel. Yeah.
What?
Shayna.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she can get.
And let me throw another name in the hat. Ronda.
Oh yeah.
Those two right there that could take on a man.
Yeah, because they have the cred.
They have the cred. Number one. Number two, technically speaking, Ronda Rousey has manhandled a man before.
Are we really going to call that scumball a man?
Hey, if he has the appropriate plumbing, yes.
You need a higher bar for manhood than that. For those who don't know, we're talking about. Ronda admitted in her autobiography that her ex-boyfriend was a complete bastard and she beat him up. And for once, it wasn't a case of domestic violence. He had it coming.
Yeah, he had it coming. Well, okay. Technically speaking, it is a man. He is the alleged person who got his ass handed to Ronda was actually a man. So, and for another thing, I could also bring up the fact that
Madeline is completely right. She is completely right with this statement about the intergender matches. She said the problem with running with an intergender match is getting people past the idea of petite women getting flung around the ring. And she's right. She is absolutely 100% right. That is the issue. With the domestic violence and all this other sexual assaults and all this other shit going on, can people suspend their belief enough to accept that? That's the key.
Here's the thing.
And I don't think, and to be perfectly honest, as much as we can fantasy book all these matches we're talking about with all these people, our society here in the United States will not accept it.
Why not? It worked for Lucha Underground.
Well, Lucha Underground was a niche product that almost, that very few people watched. And in addition to that, it was something where nobody was really presented as human, first off.
Right. See, the difference is that Lucha Underground hasn't made a dime. They don't make any money. It's a television production.
They're basically a tax write-off for Rodriguez. It's not like, they're worried about keeping a profit.
No. Whereas WWE, a publicly traded company, if they were to do something like this now, with all the shit that's going on in the business, with all these wrestlers fucking up like they've been wrestling, these male wrestlers fucking up like they've been, it won't fly. Stock prices will plummet. Advertisers will pull out, and it could shut the company down completely.
Well, I don't think they'll shut the company down completely. Worst case scenario, Vince is going to take his company off the market and buy all the stock back, which he could do. I think the big key is obviously presentation.
Yeah.
You need to sort of work people slowly into it. And the Ellsworth-Becky match was a good start because it was a comedy match. But I think the next step, and this is going to sound kind of weird, is you probably want a face versus face intergender match next, so that you can establish that, yes, the good people in the locker room are as nervous about this as you are. And you have the male sort of, hesitating to lock up, sticking completely with holds or grappling, trying very hard to win the match without hurting anyone, until eventually the woman kind of says, enough of this, treat me like an opponent. And then you say, okay, now we've established that don't worry about this. This isn't about violence. This is about competition. And you need to sort of get permission to do that within the universe.
I mean, yeah, I would agree on that, because the biggest point of making this believable is actually presentation. Yeah, but I'll say a word of caution, because, well, even though this is not relatable in all of itself, remember the case of Fallon Fox in UFC?
Yeah, there was a lot of people who were nervous about that too. Yeah. Or to go even further back, Taker and I might remember back in the day, Renee Richards in tennis.
Oh, okay.
It was the same general situation. It's like back in the mid '70s, so popular opinion was even worse then than it is now. But same idea that there was a thought that it didn't seem appropriate in athletic competition.
I mean, what? Again, if most of you listen, I think most of the listeners would remember when Fallon Fox faced off against. Was she? I forgot the name. Who was it she faced off? Tamika Brent, I think. Tamika Brent.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Where Tamika got a fractured skull just by facing Fallon Fox. I think so. If that was correct, that was the case. So yeah, it's just I'm not decrying it against it. It's just that I'd say a word of caution, because people still have flashbacks on, oh, this is going to be something kind of sort of like Fallon Fox, where a man is facing a woman, and if people aren't really sold off against the whole, this is a scripted fight. This is a scripted fight where punches aren't real. Punches look like they connect and aren't real. But what if they don't really see over that and says, no, this is not good. This is a man beating a woman.
Exactly. That's the big issue. That is the issue right now.
Yeah, and
if there is a way to get around it.
Yeah, and like Duke and I said, it's presentation. It all depends on presentation.
Right.
Whether people accept the whole presentation of it or not is another clue altogether. But I think if they sit down and actually work around it, I think they can work it out. They have the personnel in both Candice LeRae, Tommaso Ciampa, and of course, again, with Asuka, Kairi Sane, Shayna Baszler, who can actually do that. Becky Lynch, who can do that too.
Yeah, they have people who are smart enough to be able to make it work. The question is if they get the permission to make it work. And that I can understand.
Exactly. Are they going to have the women running over the men because of the poor the look, the assumption or the look of poor taste, having the guy go over because he basically beat the hell out of her? Will that fly? Will that fly with the advertisers? Will that fly with the fans? Based on society today and in general right now, I don't see it happening. And that's just me being honest.
True.
We are so sensitive to this, especially now. In the last 7-8 months, we have had so many instances, both in the in wrestling and outside of wrestling, of sexual misconduct, sexual assaults, rapes, one thing or another, domestic violence, spousal abuses, all this shit happened in the last 7-8 months, that something like this will not fly. Period.
It could. It is a point of contention to think about. So yeah.
Because you'll have a lot of the women's movements. Let a guy have a match with a woman on Raw or SmackDown one night, and have the guy go over and watch what happens at at WWE headquarters the next morning. You'll have 10, 12,000 women out there protesting. Is Vince going to want that? Hell no.
Does Vince care? I mean, what from everything we know about Vince, do you think he care?
I don't think so.
I doubt it, but the thing about it is, it would not look good for PR. And that is something he would be concerned about.
Yeah.
He may not care about the protesting, but he cares about public relations because he's got shareholders.
Number one. And number two, again, let's not forget, he did try and send his wife to run for Senate.
Mm-hmm.
He's still trying to get
her into the United States Congress, either in the Senate. Like I said, it just won't.
It's not that he wanted to send his wife to Congress. It's the point of contention that he wants people to accept that wrestling is a business.
And this would
people to accept that he's more than just a wrestling guy.
Yes,
right.
There you go. He's not just a businessman who made his money off from carny sports like wrestling. He's a legitimate businessman who runs a wrestling organization. That's it. He wants that.
You know, he wants a seat at the table with the mainstream. Yeah. And if it requires him not doing something like this, then he'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and at the end of the day, I don't see an intergender match happening in the next 10 years.
I'd not see it in the next 5 years, but I'll be surprised if they actually went on and do it. Hey.
I don't see it in Vince's lifetime. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't see it in Vince's lifetime, or for that matter, in Paul's lifetime.
I'm like, yeah, okay.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I see what you mean. Just because I think Stephanie and Paul want to push the strong women narrative, and that might be part of that might be their end game. Who knows?
Yeah. But okay, just to end, I think I think Madeline Lenoir ended it perfectly. Still surprised that they got away with Roman spearing Stephanie at WrestleMania 32, but they made sure to present that as an accident.
Oh, it looked like she came in. It also looked like she came all over herself.
Oh God!
Have you ever seen that picture? Have you seen that picture, Duke?
Oh yes.
Of her
laying. I've also seen that picture photoshopped where they're both holding cigarettes. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's just one of those visuals that I still to this day can't get out of my head.
She was laying there with a content smile on her face.
Yeah, content shit-eating grin, like I just had the greatest orgasm in my fucking life.
Oh yeah, he gave me the spear, all right.
I'm sorry, guys, but that's the look it was to me. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm sorry.
I would think the predominant opinion of most males that seen that would agree.
She got. I'll go way over, and I'll remind all you folks that this is actually an explicit episode, as always.
Yes,
Stephanie
there are warnings.
Stephanie looked like she got the knickers kicked out of her legs.
Yes. And I know two people that when they hear this are going to laugh their asses off about it. That's George and Chris, both.
Oh yes,
they were the two that pointed it out initially. I was like, I didn't see it at first, and they were the two that pointed it out. And I went back and looked, and I'm like, holy shit, they're right.
Two guys, one sport every Thursday night, people.
Yes. And Taker, to sound it off, you remember the whole "This is my yard now" from Roman Reigns? Imagine this on Stephanie. This is my Steph now.
Oh God! Oh please no! Oh God! And I think
wait,
the show on that.
Wait, go.
Remember
Dude.
when Triple H, back when he was with DX, said, "I'm by lots of things, but lingual ain't one of them."
Mm-hmm.
Threesome.
Oh, Wow. And on that note, folks, I think we'll end it here.
Good night, everybody.
Everybody.
This show has completely fallen off the rails, and I don't think we can get it back.
Wait, Duke, don't run away. You need to plug yourself and your wrestling promotion and
Yeah, one of the good things that I'm doing now is I'm actually, like I said, I've been trying to train to get in the ring. I've been training with the Crab Wrestling Dojo in Ridge, Maryland. And a lot of them are a feeder promotion to Nova Pro, which is the Washington, D.C. preeminent indie. I want to say if you're in the D.C. area, Friday in Annandale, Virginia, they're putting on a show. Tickets are almost sold out now, so get them if you can. Big main event, Eric Royal from CDF Mid-Atlantic against Gunnar Miller. Going to be a great match. I hope everybody's looking forward to it who's in the area. Hope to see you there.
So if you guys don't know, Duke heavily promotes his Nova Pro Wrestling. So if you guys can manage to catch it, go catch it. Hopefully you give Duke some likes, comments, and of course following and all of that. So yeah, go ahead. Taker, wrap this up before we completely go off the rails again.
All right, this is, we got. You can always find me in the daily and the nightly. You can always and also follow me on Twitter at TakersMinion. I don't tweet much. I do mainly instant, direct messages because I don't like to put a lot of things out in public. It's nobody's business. Where can they find you there, MDS?
They can find me on Twitter at BeckyGotBank666. I usually do some live tweets if it's all about wrestling. I did half of it back when I was watching New Beginnings earlier this evening. And they also can catch me on Cage Side Seats, same name. I usually hang out in the nightly as well as the daily. And of course, that's just about it.
We got our please do not forget, folks, to like, subscribe, comment, subscribe, and comment, and promote to your friends. And don't forget to we got a couple unaffiliated, we got a couple sister shows that we promote here.
Like Duke said, two guys, one sport.
Two guys, one sport. That's George Chavez and Crazy Chris Colgan. You can catch them at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on Thursday nights. Don't forget to give a listen to Wrestle Club Podcast. It's a brand new one that's come out with Dennis Cow. Violet Wrestling Podcast, our sister Ambrose Alley and brother Prince Moxley Lopez. That show varies from day to day, so keep your eyes off to it. Just get on the channel and subscribe, and you'll get notified when they go on.
Check local listings.
Yes, check your local listings. Yes. And
local listings, of course.
Don't forget MLW Network podcast we promote here. Both of them are very good. One is Something to Wrestle With. That's with Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson. And the other one is What Happened When with Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson. Both of them on the MLW Network.
Yep. And of course, let's not forget Don Sal also has his own wrestling podcast, Match Fixing, half-hour show on Cedar Bridge Media. Catch that as one of the unaffiliated podcasts. And then we have our affiliated podcast for Cage Side Seats. We have Beta Boys Club, Brent Brookhouse and Ethan Page, Not Your Demographic with Stunning Stella and Enigma Aaron, Keeping Up with the Kayfabe, Mark Riley, Jody May Esquire, and Jack King, as well as Bros Before Elbows with Anthony, Farron, and Tommy. I had to listen to it last week. They were a blast. I do love the soapbox that they did, so there's that. Shout out to them. Even if you can't really catch the affiliated, please catch the unaffiliated ones. They're good. We promote them heavily under our banner of Los Cinco Bonobos podcast. So they're all one big family. So this has been episode 31 of Shootin' the Breeze. Of course, more history to throw shots at. That's the title.
And don't take anything we say as gospel. We're just a couple of fans that get together every week and talk about the sport that we love.
Please don't take us seriously. We're not that much of an expert, but we do have opinions. We have lots of.
Thank you for having me on the show today. It was a blast. If you ever want me back, just let me know ahead of time, and I'd be glad to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I gave you a short notice, but There was an issue with someone that was supposed to be on. We had to punch him back a week, but I already had you sitting in the bullpen warming up. So
that works for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
and again, thanks, Duke.
Yes,
thanks, Duke, for
Duke.
coming on. I have to say thank you because Taker is the one who does the whole thing of networking. I'm usually the one thanking people that are coming. And thank you to the chat, especially these. I'm sorry that we went off the rails quite a lot of times.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, we're a serious wrestling podcast, people. We're a serious wrestling podcast. We're not supposed to
we're as serious as Vince McMahon.
probably. We're as
All right,
crazy as
guys,
he is.
see you later.
All right.
See ya.
Till next week. Bye.